Welcome to Athens for the 79th Tour of Italy. I'm Phil Liggett, as always, lovely to have you along. 1996, a special year on the Italian racing calendar as their great tour moves across to Greece for its start. And the reason? Well, the centenary of the modern Olympiad, first held in Athens in 1896. A country famed for its ancient buildings and the Acropolis, and now for the start of the Tour of Italy. And there are 162 riders based on 18 teams. This first stage of 170 kilometres is a circuit based on Athens. No real challenge for the climbers today. Those, of course, will come later, where there are major mountains on 9 stages of this tour. In all, the race totalling 4,000 kilometres. There's the high altitude at the left of our picture, a mere 280 metres today for the field as they prepare to roll away. Everybody, in fact, talking about Abraham Olano after his second place in the Tour of Spain last year and, of course, his World Championship as the man to beat. There's one man who might contest it in the little blue cap there, Evgeny Berzin, who won this race in 1994 and will be a real favourite in the upcoming Tour de France as well. A breakaway forming today, and 3 riders of the same team have gone clear here. There are Aki men, Andrea Teteriuk of Kazakhstan, and the 2 Italians, Gianluca Guerini and Denis Zanetta. Taking advantage of a lot of crashes already in the race today, and it's a lead of 1 minute and 50 seconds over the complete field. Well, not quite, because here is a crash here. We're showing it in slow motion. It's just happened, in fact. It's caused by a burst water main. You can see the wet roads, and the riders try to get away. The rider lying down on the right is Marcel Wust in the red. And what bad luck this rider has. It looks to me as though Marcel is out of the race. He also abandoned the tour after a crash in the first tour he rode back in 1992. And was the double stage winner in the Tour du Pont a couple of weeks ago and was bang on form. That really is bad luck for the young man there from the MX Honda team, the German rider, always a jolly rider as well. And this breakaway here, they want to know a little bit more about what's going on, but the field are closing in. The rider shouting at us here is Denis Zanetta. And this is a trip to the back of the field here because the rider taking a bit of service here, Massimo Strazza. Also a crash victim, and he's hardly back with the race. There's another one. Well, they're saying a number of the accidents are caused by the bad roads, but you have to say, looking at this picture here, these roads don't look too bad at all. A touch of wheels, a moment's inattention, first day nerves perhaps, but again, more riders are on the ground, and it looks as though more riders out of the race. Already, 3 riders have officially abandoned because of the crashes. Now it looks as though Secchiari now for the start of the Tour of Italy. And there are 162 riders based on 18 teams. This first stage of 170 kilometres is a circuit based on Athens. No real challenge for the climbers today. Those, of course, will come later, where there are major mountains on 9 stages of this tour. In all, the race totalling 4,000 kilometres. There's the high altitude at the left of our picture, a mere 280 metres today for the field as they prepare to roll away. Everybody, in fact, talking about Abraham Olano after his second place in the Tour of Spain last year and, of course, his World Championship as the man to beat. There's one man who might contest it in the little blue cap there, Evgeny Berzin, who won this race in 1994 and will be a real favourite in the upcoming Tour de France as well. A breakaway forming today, and 3 riders of the same team have gone clear here. There are Aki men, Andrea Teteriuk of Kazakhstan, and the 2 Italians, Gianluca Guerini and Denis Zanetta. Taking advantage of a lot of crashes already in the race today, and it's a lead of 1 minute and 50 seconds over the complete field. Well, not quite, because here is a crash here. We're showing it in slow motion. It's just happened, in fact. It's caused by a burst water main. You can see the wet roads, and the riders try to get away. The rider lying down on the right is Marcel Wust in the red. And what bad luck this rider has. It looks to me as though Marcel is out of the race. He also abandoned the tour after a crash in the first tour he rode back in 1992. And was the double stage winner in the Tour du Pont a couple of weeks ago and was bang on form. That really is bad luck for the young man there from the MX Honda team, the German rider, always a jolly rider as well. And this breakaway here, they want to know a little bit more about what's going on, but the field are closing in. The rider shouting at us here is Denis Zanetta. And this is a trip to the back of the field here because the rider taking a bit of service here, Massimo Strazza. Also a crash victim, and he's hardly back with the race. There's another one. Well, they're saying a number of the accidents are caused by the bad roads, but you have to say, looking at this picture here, these roads don't look too bad at all. A touch of wheels, a moment's inattention, first day nerves perhaps, but again, more riders are on the ground, and it looks as though more riders out of the race. Already, 3 riders have officially abandoned because of the crashes. Now it looks as though Secchiari is another man, and that's going to make it 4 riders out of the Tour on the very first stage here in Greece. The field have all been swept up. It's going to be a sprinter's chance again, and this is Uchikov. He was in fact just ahead of the field, but they're being brought to heel right on the line, and Uchikov, a former stage winner in the Tour of France, is caught, and now the sprinters are going to go. The sprinters opening up for the line now. The Gavi's rider is Stefano Zanini, but he's been swept aside now as Roslotto starts on the far right. But look at Martinello. Martinello, without his big sprinter Cipollini, is going to have a go on the left of the picture. Martinello, the double world champion on the track in Colombia a year ago, he's going to get his victory in the Tour of Italy, and that means he will also be the first wearer of the Maglia Rosa, and that is what every rider wants, and this is how he did it. I must say, a tremendous show of power here from Martinello. He must have been given a bit of a clean hand from his team leader today, Cipollini, who wasn't in the result at all. Martinello winning over Fabrizio Guidi and Stefano Zanini, Zbigniew Spruk. So Martinello, the first leader of the Giro d'Italia. And thanks to the bonuses out on the course, Martinello is 4 seconds in front of Guidi, and Contrini is in 3rd place. Now we're moving on to stage 2. This is the beautiful fishing town here of Navpatkos, and this is the finishing town of stage number 2. The ride today, some 230 plus kilometres. The riders coming away from Elefsina, and there are 157 of them left, having lost a number of riders yesterday in all of those crashes. No challenger except the climb in the middle, which is over 2,400 feet, 880 metres. But the rides themselves not rising to the challenge at all today. The race has hardly turned a pedal in anger as we pick up the action now 5 kilometres from the finish. The Gavi's team here trying to set up the sprint for their man, Stefano Zanini, to see if he can take over the Maglia Rosa from Silvio Martinello. And by the way, Martinello has said overnight that in fact Mario Cipollini, his team leader, gave him a free hand yesterday to win the stage because Cipollini was not feeling too good at all. Now look at the rush here now by virtually the whole of the Gavi's team here to try and get Zanini into pink. And there's plenty of riders willing to bring other teams up. We can see down there the team of Amore e Vita. They've got a very good sprinter on that team, Glenn Magnusson. If you saw the Tour du Pont, you may remember he was riding exceptionally well there. First year pro, champion of Sweden. And now again Polti trying to lead out their sprinter, who is Giovanni Lombardi, who 4 years ago in the Olympic Games in Barcelona picked up the points title, but he's not going to get onto the back wheel. It doesn't look like the lead-out man here. And there's the blue jersey of Stefano Zanini, and Zanini has been beaten on the line, and the man who's got through there, let's look at it again, is Glenn Magnusson, who had a perfect lead-out right into the centre of our picture, and that is going to put him right on the wanted list for Sweden for the Olympic Games for sure. His first win as a pro. He's a great sprinter, and today was his day, right?
Yeah. Normally I'm quite good in sprint, so I feel I always feel when I come to the finish line I have a good chance, and I took the chance today.
Indeed he did. Everybody finishing the same time. Zanini second, and having to be content with the runner-up spots at the moment. Edo of Spain, the little sprinter there, he got third. And overall, Martinello keeps the pink jersey. 4 seconds still his advantage over Zanini. 6 now over Magnusson. And all of the riders on top of the leaderboard, not surprisingly perhaps regarded as sprinters here, but today's a bit hilly. The last stage in Greece, 194 riders. The riders going from Masolonghi to Ioannina. And there have been a number of skirmishes today, but basically the hot weather has caused the majority of the riders to be brought back into the fold. There's Martinello in the pink jersey. Cipollini feeling a little bit better perhaps, now taking closer order near the front. The green jersey here led by the early King of the Mountains leader Fabio Fontinelli, and their confirmation of a break at 2 minutes 7 seconds up. Here they are, Nicola Micheli in the front, and Daniel Contrini of the Brescia team, he's with him as well. Contrini, a new pro, and 25-year-old Micheli from Sella Italia. But the majority of the hills all coming in the last 60 kilometres, 38 miles of the race. So there's Angel Camargo, the Colombian, on the Stella Italia team, trying to grab an express train because they're bringing back his leader on the day at least, and the field behind keeping very close order as well. It could well go down to a bunch sprint once again here if they can get over these hills. Martinello paying particular attention to the fact that on a day when he was expected to lose his overall lead, he might well hang on to it. But there we see coming back Contrini from Basiliat, so he's back in the fold, and Mikela isn't going to be far behind him. Here is Mikeli, and there is the main field closing in very rapidly indeed. A brave attempt indeed, a lot of publicity, but that's about where it ends today for him. The field are now beginning to warm up for King of the Mountain points. Fontinelli in third place. Looks like an attack too going by the good old favourite from Italy, Claudio Chiappucci. He's always had a great love affair with the Tour of Italy, but he's still waiting for the big day to arrive. Perhaps having an early shot at leading the King of the Mountains here. Claudio Chiappucci, the steepest climb of the race so far on day 3 of the Tour. Remember, tonight it's off to the mainland of Italy, and then they say the racing will really commence. 4th in the Tour of Italy last year, but he is a regular in the top 6 these past years. Trying to find his rhythm a little bit, keeping the big chain wheel rolling on what is a very good main road climb. And maximum points going to go to Claudio Chiappucci here as he gets under the banner. He's being chased all the way to the line though by one more rider, can't quite get onto him. So I wonder if Claudio Chiappucci is going to be a big part of this year's race. Sergei Uzlamin, 111th overall. Now putting in a determined attack, but he's done it with 12 kilometres to go on a long straight road. It's not ideal conditions to go clear of the field, and there's a lot of riders in this race now feeling that it will go down to a bunch sprint. There's a small climb up to the finish of a kilometre, but it's not really a tough climb for these riders. And in fact, Uzlamin has been joined now by David Castorotto of Scrigno. So it's now down to the teams behind to start chasing. The gap is just 16 seconds and it's not that far to go. And again, the Polti team trying to bring the race back. And as we switch now, Gay Viz too. Remember that Stefano Zanini is still looking for the stage win, and time is running out if this man wants to be the overall leader of the Tour of Italy. There he is in the mauve jersey, and coming up to his shoulder now, the pink jersey of race leader Martinello. And Silvio Martinello, he really has sharpened his legs for this race. The kilometre up to the finish now. Little bit of a drag, but it hasn't done too much damage to the strong men now as Polti again tried to get Lombardi to the front. Lombardi is tucked in about 3rd place. He's now trying to come through, but also there is Stefano Zanini. Zanini's in a great position now. He's had a 3rd and a 2nd so far. Zanini on the left. Zanini comes through. It looks like he's got the victory now. He's being challenged by Lombardi to the line. It's a long, long way, slightly uphill here, and I think Zanini's going to lose it. He struggled to the line, and he's eased too soon. In fact, Giovanni Lombardi, watch this. Lombardi, it just seems though Zanini seized up as he approached the line, shoulder to shoulder, as Giovanni Lombardi takes him right on the line, gets the victory. Martinello gets 3rd. This is going to be quite a shuffling of the overall classification, but the victory goes here to Giovanni Lombardi. The sprinters are really having their day so far. For the first 3 days here in Greece, all going down to sprinters. After Martinello and Magnussen, we've now got Lombardi. And what about Zanini? 2 seconds and a 3rd place to his credit now. So there's the result. Lombardi, the winner, almost 5 hours in the saddle today. In the end, a bunch sprint. Zanini gets 2nd as a result. Zanini, the new leader of the Giro d'Italia, same time as Martinello, though, split on points as we move on now to stage number 4. And this 147 kilometres, the rest day has passed by, many of them travelling a 9-hour boat journey from Greece across to Italy. The rise, of course, coming by aeroplane straight after the previous stage. Now rolling out to do 4 laps of what was partially the World Championship circuit here in Ostuni back in 1976. And the Gay-Wiz riders out for a day of protection, perhaps, because Stefano Zanini, after 2 second places and a 3rd place, is the leader of the Tour on the same time as Silvio Martinello. And as expected, a lot of attacks have come to nothing today as the riders have ripped around this circuit into the last kilometre. Nobody has succeeded in going away. We have seen people like Berzin and Ugrimov attack, but they've all come back into the fold. And a late attack here now, and it looks as though it's coming from Mario Mazzoni of the Roslotto team, trying to finish off with a result for them, but they're going to leave it late, and they're winding up now. It looks to me as though Cipollini might be finding his legs too. He's got the wheel of his teammate Martinello in that mauve jersey. Cipollino, Martinello, the two Sayoko riders are coming right up to the line together, and this time Cippo gets it. Mario Cipollini, that's his first stage win of this year's tour, and in all his 13th stage win of the Giro d'Italia since he started riding it back in 1990. That's how he did it, and when he does come to the line first, he does make it look so easy. Cipollini beating Martinello, his teammate, Guidi taking third place, and overall now it is Silvio Martinello who reclaims the Maglia Rosa, and so be it, there's still not much time in it. And so this opening week still staying the domain of the sprinters, and the pink jersey going back, rather surprisingly perhaps, to Silvio Martinello. We're now heading out onto stage number 5, 193 kilometres. We continue through this beautiful country, which is steeped in Roman remains. Capocolana, as the riders now head away from Metaponto down to Cotone, running down in effect the instep of the heel of Italy as the race continues its journey towards the southwest of the country. You can't get it much flatter than that, can you? And this man should enjoy his day. Gianni Bugno, the champion of Italy, yet to feature in this year's Giro d'Italia. I wonder how long he's going to stay quiet. The race itself throughout the day has been a quiet one, just on 5 hours of racing. The whole field now swinging in towards the finish, not surprisingly, of course, with the flat stage like it was. And again, a chance now for Martinello to increase his overall lead. He's had a good day in the sprints out on the course. He's increased his overall lead slightly over Stefano Zanini, and now he's got a chance of victory here. He's number 3 in line, as once again Gaywiz looking over there to see where Zanini is to try and help him out of it, but Giovanni Lombardi now licking his lips once more after a stage win. He's right there at the front as well, and this is going to be a battle royale, because there you have Lombardi on the left of our picture, and going for gold now as he's got Martinello on his wheel. Behind Martinello is the little Kelme rider, Angay Ido. Ido going off to the left. It looks as though Ido might land this one. The little Spanish sprinter hits the line. Ido gets it, and he finishes just in front of Massimo Strazza. But here's the hero of the day riding behind. Look at that right arm just propped up on the handlebar, and this rider, Gianluca Bortolami, a suspected broken right elbow after a crash midway through the stage. What courage! He's continued to the finish, but he's out of the tour. And for this man, the other end of the spectrum, the happiest day for Angel Ido. He gets the best ever stage victory of his career, and indeed his first for 2 years ahead of Strazza and Martinello. Overall, no change. Martinello now 16 seconds ahead of Stefano Zanini as we move on to stage number 6. And this one is 179 kilometres, the biggest climb so far, officially a mountain day. And look at this, the biggest climb at 1,426 metres, approximately midway through the race. That's all behind us now as we join the action here at Taverna, with just on 60 kilometres left to go to the finish. There's been plenty of attacking, but at the moment the race is more or less under control, with the rider in the pink jersey still Silvio Martinello. So despite the mountains, a man that doesn't like the mountains, a double world track champion, is still in with a shout today, retaining that pink leader's jersey. Paneria, with the full list of riders, all 9 of them, it looks as though they've got them at the front here, trying to reel in the breakaways. Zbigniew Spruk is the man at the head, setting the pace here. Little Belly also tucked in nicely. And now we're looking here at the breakaway, Denis Zanetti. The rider has not given up at trying to get away. He's really at his strongest on the climbs. And the Aki rider pushing on the pace here. The small climbs towards the finish, but they're absolutely ideal for springboards. And there is, by the way, a rather nasty little climb up to the finishing line itself. And a counter-attack here coming from Bo Larsen, and he's being followed too by Sergei Uchakov. And the third rider there looks like it's Gabriele Massaglia. The Italians always anxious to get into the thick of the action. There's the confirmation of the group of Bo Larsen. Another new professional from the strong Danish setup. Klaus Moller also rides here in the Giro d'Italia, part of the famous Danish World Championship amateur team of a couple of years ago. All finding the way through the pro ranks now. And slowly but surely the whole field is regrouped here. And still they're searching a way to crack this field. Another 3 riders trying to pull away. A little rider there, Fabrizio Bontempi in the blue jersey. No relation, by the way, to the now retired Guido Bontempi, as this little group also tries to pull away from the field. Bontempi still itching to get his hands on the Maglia Rosa before time runs out for him. The rider tucked in at the back there is Ocasio Gonzalez, the Colombian climber. So he knows his course well, because this could suit him, but there are still plenty of counterattacks. They're all together. That, I think, it was Roberto Petito who's just gone clear. And another very strong attack. So Saiko launching a number of attacks here. It is Petito, but he's got a long climb up to the finish, but you've got to have a go. And Petito is going to have to really struggle now to keep his rhythm in and out of the saddle. There's no more relaxing all the way up to the finishing climb. 3 more riders trying to open a little bit of a gap at the back of the field, but they too looking over the shoulders and not too certain of what is going on. Petito worried. He knows the gap is virtually nil, but he can't catch sight of the peloton because they're around the bends on this twisting climb up to the finish. We can have a look though, and there's one rider coming at him. And the way he's dancing on those pedals is the little Frenchman Pascal Hervé from Festina, who's trying to get across. And just look at the gap opening now. The pink jersey is cracked on the long climb. He has no liking for the mountains. And those few seconds lead overall are sailing in the wind now. And this man is flying in it, because Pascal Hervé is heading up towards the back wheel of Petito. Petito, don't look over his shoulder now, because Hervé, the rider who won a stage of the Tour du Pont at Beach Mountain, and that climb is a little bit steeper than this one, I think, in the United States. But Pascal Hervé having his best ever season. And so Hervé got the sights of Petito. He's still got the time. There's the kilometre banner to come. Now, if he times it to absolute perfection, he should catch up with the lead about 500 metres out, and then maybe to go by him straight away before Petito can get on his wheel. Huge crowds as we approach the line now, but time beginning to run out as well for Pascal Hervé as the counter moves coming from the field. There's not a lot of time gap spread right across the field now. We're only looking at something like 12 to 15 seconds from the main field up to Petito. So Hervé is living a very fragile lifestyle in between the two as he continues his rhythm up the climb. Kicks again. He must be very, very close now to Petito. He knows the pink jersey could wait for him at the top, because he may not know it but could suspect it, that the overall leader of the Tour, Martinello, is now in big trouble. And he's got him. He's got him, and he's got him only a few hundred metres from the line. A big kick from Petito, and Petito may have the strength. Petito, no, he's gone. Petito made the big effort and realised that Pascal Hervé was not going to slow down. And Hervé now sprinting to a clear victory, and only the clock will decide whether he gets the Maglia Rosa. But there's no doubt about the stage victory and the continuing great season of Pascal Hervé, the man who finished second overall, a clear second overall behind Lance Armstrong in the Tour du Pont, continues his good form here in the Tour of Italy. Victory for the Frenchman, Pascal Hervé. The time will soon tell us whether or not he gets the overall leader's jersey. Here's the sprint now for third place, and it looks as though Casagrande gets it, so a little bit of appearance there by one of the pre-race favourites, Francesco Casagrande. He comes home in third place, and there is the pink jersey of Martinello losing time today. So Pascal Hervé on the podium. He's just been told as well, yes, he is the new leader by 6 seconds over Guidi in the Giro d'Italia, the first ever pink jersey for him, and third place overall Petito, who finished second on this stage. And the 31 years old Pascal Hervé of France is going to feel very fragile again today, because only 24 seconds cover the top 10 riders in the overall classification as we now head on stage 7 of 164 kilometres to the mountain top finish of Monte Sereno. High up in the Sila Mountains, it's a ski station. It climbs up to 1,546 metres, and as you can see, the weather conditions up there are a little bit grim. This man has been the hero of the day, Maurizio Di Pasquale. He's had a lead of 14 minutes, but now it looks as though the field is starting to wind him in. He's down to 7 minutes as we head up towards the final climb of the day. The peloton is more or less together. The Festina team have had a tough day, though. They've been trying desperately to control this race, and they've wasted a lot of energy. There's the leader, Pascal Hervé. Turned professional very late in his career, but he's making up for it now. He's having a marvellous season. Well, the course should suit him, but there are so many places for attacks to come from with so many small time gaps, even the climbers included, all around him. The steady climb now, this is the finishing climb. It goes on and on quite literally. They've wiped out, in fact, Di Pasquale, caught 8 kilometres from the summit. And now it's a free-for-all here with a constant number of counter-attacks coming all of the time. Very prominent at the front too. The Polti riders are up here too. And this perhaps the most important attack of the Giro so far, without the pink jersey, because they've got Tonkov, Ugrimov, Berzin, Rebellin are all up here. There's Ugrimov in the centre of our picture. He's sporting his new colours of Roslotto. Making his climb steady, but no sign at all of Hervé, so they've worked him over good and proper on the climb today. His teammates have also dropped away from the picture, and little David Rebellin here digging very, very deep indeed as he comes up towards the line. He started the sprint very quickly. Faustini has gone away, and also coming up at the back is Pavel Tonkov, the other Russian rider. So Tonkov in third place, and in fact getting second as Rebellin takes the stage. So David Rebellin, a new man on the block, gets the stage victory. And he was sixth, remember, in Liège-Bastogne-Liège this year. And judging by the enormous gaps, there's still no sign of Hervé. There's Berzin. He's also conceded time. He comes over the line, and there is the exhausted David Rebellin of Polti. Only 4.5 hours the stage today, but it's been a tough one, just over 100 miles. He's being congratulated because he is the new leader of the Giro d'Italia. And this is how the little climber did it. Those rather thin-looking legs finding a lot of power in the sprint at the top of Monte Sereno. And dropping away from the action, slowly but surely, Faustini, and coming up on him, Pavel Tonkov, the Russian rider who once won a stage of the British milk race in pouring rain in the city of Nottingham. Rebellin gets the stage. And now how about this? Look at the time gap, 11 minutes and 4 seconds and counting. The champion of Italy, Gianni Bugno, certainly out of any high finish in this year's Giro d'Italia. Happy days, though, for David Rebellin. He becomes the new leader of the Giro. His overall lead will be 4 seconds over Pavel Tonkov, and Faustini will be third, 8 seconds back. Leonardo Pipoli, he's a good climber, up to fourth, and Ugrimov now in the frame in fifth. And with no more mountains until tomorrow, the race now heading for Naples, one of Italy's most famous cities, in beautiful conditions, and it should be a day for the sprinters. This stage of 135 kilometres, we're now running up the coast of the Mediterranean as we head up to Naples via Pompey. There you are, look, it's all downhill today, just a small mountain at the start, and the riders have gone over that, and they're all very, very much together. New race leader, David Rebellin, stalking the field here, letting everybody know he's around. He comes up to the shoulder there of Claudio Chiappucci on the far side. The race favourite, perhaps, Evgeny Berzin, along with Abraham Olano. We can move on to the action now, and a breakaway is formed, and in this breakaway is Claudio Chiappucci, the rider who has always dreamed one day of wearing the Maglia Rosa. Well, he might do something about it. He's in this breakaway with Marco Salagari, and the other rider is Andrea Noe, number 8. And the gap is growing overnight, 1 minute 11 seconds, the gap between Chiappucci and Rebellin, and look at that, 1 minute 20 seconds. So he's got the overall lead on the road, and that might keep him going. Just 13 kilometres left to go to the finish. I'm not surprised, in fact, that Chiappucci is driving the race, but coming up from the back here is Marco Milesi. And a little glance over the shoulder there by Noe. We'll see Milesi join them, but in fact the main field are closing in. There's the same Archie's luck, and they're very, very close together indeed. So I think dreams of pink are out, but there's still a chance of the stage win. There's now 4 riders up front. Malaysia is tagged on to the back of them, so we've got Marco Salagari, Kirpucci, Andrea Noe and Marco Malesi. Massive crowds here as we race into Naples for the finish, but the field are not that far behind. In fact, you can see them. Look, there they are. As the attacks, the last gasp attacks begin now, but I don't think there's any hope at all because the field are thundering down the street here towards the finish. This is going to be another day when the sprinters feel they've got to have it, and that's why the Amore Vita team are working so hard. They're trying to set up Glenn Magnusson, who won, remember, the second stage of this race when we were over in Greece at Napakos. But the field gathering again at the front. They're virtually wiping out of the breakaway. In fact, they've wiped them out now because this is Seiko at the front. And they're looking to their 2 top sprinters. Martinello's in there in the mauve jersey, but also there, the tall man, the fastest self-proclaimed sprinter in the world. He's right on the inside of our picture, Mario Cipollini. He's looking for his second stage win. He says, I only come here to win stages. If I can't win them, there's no point in staying. Racing down the front here now in Naples. He's running in 3rd place at the moment. He's on the wheel of Silvio Martinello. Martinello, twice the winner of the Maglia Rosa on separate occasions in this tour. Now racing for the time bonuses once more to the line. There's still a battle of the seconds among the sprinters here now as they start to go. In fact, Angle has sat up and looked at his gears if he's got a problem and got away from it. But Cipollini has no such problems. Martinello on the barriers, Cipollini on the left. Cipollini gets it. I think even our cameraman was fooled there because he closed the camera in on Martinello, but in fact it was the teammate of Martinello and the Seiko captain right on the right of our picture as we look down here, who wins the stage, Mario Cipollini. A lot of speed off Big Mario, gets him his second stage win of this year's Giro, and right behind him was Guidi, Lombardi. Martinello, I think, will be confirmed in 4th place. This rider, once he hits the front, there's no getting round him at all. He makes Lombardi look oh so slow, and for him, his second stage victory of the Giro d'Italia, and that is what he came here for and what he does best. But overall, there is no change at all. That's the stage result. Cipollini ahead of the sprinters today. Abdu Japarov getting there this time in 5th place and Baffet in 6th. Overall, Rebellin keeps his 4 seconds lead over Tonkov and 8 seconds over Faustini. So it still remains very close to the top and a few more hills today as we go on to stage number 9. Heading away from Naples now, we go north up the coast of the Mediterranean. Then we turn inland, skirting Rome and heading to the finish here at Fiuggi, a total distance of 184 kilometres. A nervous day indeed for young David Rebellin. He looks a solid leader so far, and he's got some good riders on the Polti team, quite capable of riding strongly in the mountains with him. One climb in the middle for the King of the Mountains, the Intergiro, coming at just about 19 kilometres, and then it's all go for the finish. And the breakaway of the day, 2 young professional riders, Contrini and Traversoni, trying to soften up the rest of the field and grab a little bit of the limelight. It's been a long breakaway for these riders, but the counterattacks are coming now, not surprisingly from the Aki team, who are taking a lot of encouragement from the fine riding from Denis Sinetta. Konichev setting the pace, Mauro Bettin and Roberto Petito, the rider who finished second to Pascal Hervé on stage 6. He's sitting now at the back of the group. Maybe he'll get more luck this time because here comes the main field. Still a little bit of hesitation here as they try to organise the counter-attack. The Paneria team looking particularly good as they put 3 or 4 riders back at the front of this group. The whole field having wiped out the rest of the breakaways are all together down there now. And the motorcycles at the front waiting for the attack that might decide the day's stage. They climb up now towards the finish at Fiuggi. And this looks like Enrico Zaina, who's starting to go clear the field. A counter-attack coming from Paneria. Carrera without, of course, Marco Pantani, who incidentally did the opening titles to the international television coverage. He was actually singing at the top of every day's programme of this year's Tour of Italy, and I can tell you we want to see him back racing because he's not a very good singer. Well, this is still Zaina trying to get clear of the field, but they're really wrestling with the fact they're not going to let him go, and it looks as though there's a counter move here coming from Alexander Gonchenkov, the Russian rider. Well, he must know these roads quite well. He finished second in Tirreno Adriatico here this year. He's also had a stage victory in the Tour of Romandy, so Gonchenkov having a great season. He's a man that is promising much, and he's just starting to deliver this year now. And this is Belly coming across from the Paneria team. Now, if those three can get together, we have a real substance of a good breakaway. Oh, and look at this. Gonchenkov has just come across to Zaina, and he's got a flat back tyre. Well, that's bad news, not just for Gonchenkov, but I think also for Zaina, because the main field are around about 30 seconds behind. Here they are. Not quite as many as there were at the start of the climb, but even so, a very, very big pack indeed. David Rebellin is in this group and will feel a little bit concerned about Zaina, who started the day just 29 seconds behind overall. He's got more than that back at the minute. So Zaina is the race leader on the road. The Festinas are also launching a counter-attack. This is Groene Lauke from Festina. And Gonchenkov had no option really, because the gap wasn't big enough. He surrendered to go back into the field, and that really is bad luck, leaving Zaina now with a very slim hope of surviving to the end. He usually manages a stage win in the Giro d'Italia. At some point he got one last year, Il Coccio, and he's still got 3 kilometres to hang out off the front of this group. I don't think there's any chance in taking over the pink, because the gap is coming down, and really the stage win is all he can hope for. The counterattacks coming from the group once again. Surprisingly not from the Polti riders, and that must indicate that perhaps David Rebellin has had a tough day today controlling this race, and he's got to be worried about Zaina. And Zaina now can think only of victory, and then the clock will tell us whether he's in the pink or not, and I doubt that. The camera waiting to see if anybody comes round this corner, so the gap must be pretty close down to being shut down altogether. And here is the second rider on the course, and this is Guidi, who's gone through for the Scrigno team. Then the main pack just behind, Fabrizio Guidi, who continues to progress in this year's Giro d'Italia and keeps a high overall position. And look at the way they've closed in on everybody. And in fact, Zaina is just about going to hang on to the finish, but it's going to be touch and go. He'll get his stage win. He was 7th overall in last year's Giro, by the way. But now as he comes up to the line, a stage win will be his for sure, but I don't think there'll be a pink jersey. 29 seconds out, he gets a 12-second bonus for the victory, and the gap is closing all of the time behind. The pink jersey Rebellin now at the front of that group, trying to reduce the gap as much as possible. He won't get a bonus though, as he gets pushed away into the pack. Berzin trying to get in on the action. That little blue jersey there, and Guidi again chasing. And Zaina gets the stage victory, and a very good average speed for the day of nearly 42 kilometres an hour. Behind comes Guidi. He gets the second place, 4 seconds back officially. Zbigniew from Paneria, he takes the third place. And David Rebellin, he actually finishes with that pink jersey in 4th place. What would have happened, though, to Zaina if Gonchenkov had not punctured? He may well have got his hands on this jersey, which stays on the shoulders of David Rebellin. I'm not surprised he's smiling, the 24-year-old who turned pro at 20 years of age. He still leads by 4 seconds over Tonkov, 8 seconds Faustini. Zaina now up into 4th place. The riders now facing their 10th stage as we head out of Arezzo and head for Prato, and we're heading now into northern Italy, into Tuscany, the region famous for its famous son, Mario Cipollini, but he may not like the route today because it is a little bit hilly, and it's going to be a tough one for the sprinters to control. Still in that pink jersey, David Rebellin, and each day he's finding his team is under pressure. There's the hills, one coming sort of midway through the stage, and a nasty little climb around Prato. We go through Prato, in fact, and then out onto a little hill the rider's referring to as the Wall, and then we go back down to the finish in Prato itself. Beautiful scenery here, plenty of rain in northern Italy, but the sun is out today and the grass very lush indeed. And it has been a good attacking day throughout the stage. This is the little leading group led here by Marco della Vedova, who's trying to get a sortie underway, and a good lead at the moment over the field. This is where we are at Vetta Le Crocchi, and 67 kilometres still remain. Also in this group we've got Dmitry Konishev. Steady climbing here being done, and the gap, well, it's going to be a little bit of a risk as to whether they will survive the whole escape. There's nobody that will affect the overall lead yet of David Rebellin, who's going to take his time in bringing back this group, I think. And the Amore Vita rider there is Riccardo Focconi. Only a small team, Amore Vita, but they do manage to get into the frame in every Tour of Italy with one rider or another. They've had a stage win, got them off to a good start with Glenn Magnussen, who had a long breakaway earlier on by Maurizio Di Pasquale. The gap is now 2 minutes and 45 seconds. The main field still taking things quite easy. They'll probably wait for the first passage through Prato before trying to pick up the leaders. Here comes Adela Vadova. One or two of the other names in the breakaway. Watch out for Piccoli. The Casagrande, by the way, is not Francesco, but Filippo, his younger brother. And Vadova even managing to find himself a little smile here as he makes his way up the climb. No thanks to the drink. Riders very rarely take the offer of drinks from the crowd because you never know. There's always the risk of picking up a little bit of contaminated water. They only like to take the drinks supplied directly to them from their directors sportifs. And the pink jersey, and not surprisingly, all of the Polti team now trying to control the escapes. They're closing in at 45 kilometers to go. Here's the back view of the breakaway as they concentrate on the small Intergiro sprint for a handful of time bonuses. But the main field now heading towards the completion of the first visit to the finish town here at Prato in Tuscany. And then the riders will head out onto the big climb. And on this big climb, it is a little bit of a brute. I think we should see the counter-attacks. Now onto the climb itself, and the Aki riders getting themselves into the thick of the action again. They've had a good tour so far. Denis Zanet is the man who has been doing much of the work for them. The 25-year-old who turned pro only last year. And the gap tumbling down now. Abraham Olano, the world champion. We haven't seen too much of him yet, riding on the right of our picture in his world championship jersey, right on the wheel there of the leader of the tour. Now you get some idea of the gradient as they grind around this corner. It looks to me as though it's something like 25% on that bend. Paneria, thinking perhaps of Pavel Tonkov. They're setting the pace at the front. Good chance to test out the strong men in this year's Giro d'Italia as the big heads of state get themselves to the front. Paneria are riding very, very strongly as a team. There's the climb, sticking off to our right. Shignano, and this is the man who's now in the lead here, and this is Alexander Gonchenkov, who's got himself to the front. So they've wiped out the breakaway, and Gonchenkov, the rider who punctured yesterday when he had a real shot at the win with Zanina rather, and now in the lead. And little group starting to get clear. This race is split wide open, and heading the charge there, the world champion Abraham Olano. There he is down there, setting the pace. It looks as though we may well have the other Roslotto star right on his wheel, and that's Pyotr Ugrimov. The pink jersey's done well to latch on the back. Olano, Ugrimov, this is Pascal Hervé. So there's some good riders got themselves to the front today. A little bit of a sort out amongst the senior citizens, I think. Pascal Hervé, who briefly held the lead, and I thought he would have held the lead for quite a few days. He found the going just that little bit too tough. Number 14 is Stefano Faustini, the other star of the Aki team. He's tagged onto the back. He's on the wheel of Claudio Chiappucci. This is a nice little select group here, trying to grab a few seconds on the day. As it comes up towards the finish, though, one rider's slipped them, and he's from the group into the last kilometre. It looks as though it might be Massi of the Refin team. Rodolfo Massi, well, if he wins this, it'll be a surprise. He's been a pro for the best part of 10 years. He's just hanging off the front of what is a select breakaway group. Most of the favourites are in it. But Rodolfo Massi taking advantage perhaps of the infighting. Coming up to the line now. He will get the stage win, almost certainly the finest win of his career, as the sprint starts behind now. But it looks as though Zaina's in on the sprint too. Gonchenkov, Farah's in, they're all here. Giorgio Furlan is getting himself up to the front. Alongside him too is Claudio Chiappucci and Casagrande. Very close indeed as Massi takes the victory a few seconds in front. I think Furlan got it. This is the overall situation after that sprint. Rebelan, Tonkov, Faustini, no change at all overall. Furlan did get the sprint and Casagrande got third. Chiappucci was fourth. No change though in the overall classification. And so the riders now are turning back towards the coast as we leave Prato and head out to Marina di Massa. And there is a day for the sprinters if I've ever seen one. There's just one small climb towards the end, and the pack, as always, coming down together, enjoying a very hot day here on the west coast of northern Italy. And after a long breakaway by Fabiano Fontanelli, the race has come all back together again. Fontanelli, by the way, the king of the mountain since this race started in Athens. His lead wiped out approaching the finish, and now we have just a bunch sprint. And now can Mario Cipollini take his third stage win of the Tour? He will think he can. He's tucked right in on the inside of the barriers here. And in fact, Cipollini now moving slightly off the barriers. Martinello is in 4th or 5th place trying to find his way through, but it's all too late. His team captain gets his third stage win of the Giro d'Italia. So Mario Cipollini, when he goes, he really does go. This is third stage win of the Giro, and a clear win indeed. He comes right ahead here on the line of the little demon sprinter going through on the inside of the barriers there. Jamaluddin Abdu-Japarov, and Silvio Martinello just about hangs on there to third place. Denis Zanetta of Aki was the rider in the yellow who got wiped out and pushed back into 4th. But Mario Cipollini gets stage win number 3 ahead of Abdu-Japarov and Martinello. David Rebellin, well, an untroubled day once he brought back Fontanelli, and so he keeps the leader's pink jersey by that same 4 seconds over Tonkov, and once again, no change at all overall. So the sun continues, and without a view like this, well, it wouldn't be Italy, would it? As everybody enjoys the sea here and the warm sunshine and has fun, but the Tour of Italy and the professional bike riders, they have to continue their journey now, which is heading towards France. The riders taking them from Ula to Loano, 195 kilometres, right around the coast. Just one little climb soon after the start, and then a nice view of the sea all the way through to the finish. We're picking up the race here at 38 kilometres to go, and the breakaway in fact in progress, which started after only the 2nd kilometre today. Fabrizio Guidi started the break. He was joined by Fabiano Fontanelli. In Murcia in the southeast and finishes as always in Madrid, the country's capital. The stars are here. Names like Alex Zula from Benesto, the winner in 1996 and 97. Abraham Olano from Once, who won last year. Fernando Escartin, the Kelme hope, who has finished 2nd in 97 and last year. And there's Frank Vandenbroek from Belgium, a surprise entry who says he is training for the World Championships. Jan Ullrich, the Tour de France winner of 1997, and Pavel Tonkov, who normally stars in the Giro d'Italia. And let's not forget either the world number 1 Laurent Jalabert, who won this race in 1995. And at a cost of some $450,000 to the city of Murcia, we're now underway on the 54th Tour of Spain. And this is Igor Gonzalez Galdeano, an early start on what is a full day here. And his time has been tremendous around the course, but he is amongst the early riders. This will go into the night, this race, and there's the time for everybody to beat. The first man inside 7 minutes for the 6 kilometres, 6:58.4. Now, what can Santiago Blanco do? Much more expected from him, and big hopes for his team, Vitalicio, on a race which is very important to this team. But now you can see the weather has changed, and Santiago Blanco is down. Well, he was going into that corner with such great caution. He's up quick enough, but that's going to have shocked him. Plenty of help at hand. And while he sorts himself out, but it's not going to be a good day now, I think, for the stars, because the rain is coming down in the city. Here's an aerial view of another rider going down. And I've no idea who that is, but he's gone for a quick spin as well. Well, the riders now are fearful of conditions as darkness falls. This was meant to be a big spectacle here in the city, but the weather has not been with the organisation. As shades of the Tour de France back in 1995 in Saint-Brieuc. which was a surprise victory there for Jackie Giron. This is Alex Zuller, and he couldn't take that corner much more slowly, could he? If he's thinking of Saint-Brieuc, he fell off and lost some 10 seconds in that particular prologue in the Tour de France, which took out Chris Bourbon from the event after just about a mile of racing. Manolo Saez, the team director of Once here, is chasing home his charge. World champion time trialist Abraham Olano, last year's winner and wearing number 1. The last rider to start in the prologue, and all of the stars have come and gone and faded miserably. Now Galdiano is back in his hotel, and if this time is slower, they're going to have to get him out pretty quickly and bring him up for the presentation as Olano races towards the line. It's going to be close. He's aiming at 6:58, so he has taken some risk before his home crowd. The city of Murcia now will be feeling a little bit vindicated. Conditions have dried slightly. 150 metres to go. I don't think that's enough time. 6:58.4 is the time he's aiming at. It's going to fall short by a second or two. So Abraham Olano will get second on the line. There it is. So a surprise early leader in the Vuelta Espana as Olano goes into second spot. Team, but now you can see the weather has changed, and Santiago Blanco is down. Well, he was going into that corner with such great caution. He's up quick enough, but that's going to have shocked him. Plenty of help at hand, and while he sorts himself out, but it's not going to be a good day now, I think, for the stars, because the rain is coming down in the city. Here's an aerial view of another rider going down, and I've no idea who that is, but he's gone for a quick spin as well. Well, the riders now are fearful of conditions as darkness falls. This was meant to be a big spectacle here in the city, but the weather has not been with the organisation. As shades of the Tour de France back in 1995 in Saint-Brieuc, which was a surprise victory there for Jackie Giron. This is Alex Zuller, and he couldn't take that corner much more slowly, could he? If he's thinking of Saint-Brieuc, he fell off and lost some 10 seconds in that particular prologue in the Tour de France, which took out Chris Bourbon from the event after just about a mile of racing. Manolo Saez, the team director of Once here, is chasing home his charge. World champion time trialist Abraham Olano, last year's winner and wearing number 1. The last rider to start in the prologue, and all of the stars have come and gone and faded miserably. Now Galdiano is back in his hotel, and if this time is slower, they're going to have to get him out pretty quickly and bring him up for the presentation as Olano races towards the line. It's going to be close. He's aiming at 6:58, so he has taken some risk before his home crowd. The city of Murcia now will be feeling a little bit vindicated. Conditions have dried slightly. 150 metres to go. I don't think that's enough time. 6:58.4 is the time he's aiming at. It's going to fall short by a second or two. So Abraham Olano will get second on the line. There it is. So a surprise early leader in the Vuelta Espana as Olano goes into second spot. And there we have the result of the time trial. Pancake flat, Olano second. Martin Perdiguero, you see another surprise there, third. And Hoy of Denmark in fourth place. It's no longer an Amarillo jersey. This year we call it the Golden Race Leaders jersey. And on it's found a surprise home, at least for the start. But a good start too for the Vitalicio team, although they were saddened by the fall there of Santiago Blanco. The city of Murcia, tucked away in the southeast corner of Spain, now bathed in sunshine after it threw everything it could at the prologue of the Vuelta last night. Everybody back on the beach enjoying themselves as we now prepare for a circuit of the city, 179 kilometres. One of the rare chances this year for the sprinters to succeed. And you'd hardly think we'd had bad weather yesterday, would you? Small breakaway. Jackie Giron is one of the riders clear here as they try to stay ahead. But the field rapidly approaching the breakaway here now. Their lead down to 6 minutes. Jackie Giron in his Lotto colours now, and the man with his hand up is Cesar Calvio, or Garcia Calvio. And that's unlucky for Jackie because he's being left to fry on his own now. A front wheel change for the Fuenlabrada rider, and not surprisingly they all came back together as we're now on a sprint for the line here just on the outskirts of the city. And this looks like Nico Martin of the Cofidis team, who's trying to trick the sprinters and get away off the front, and he's giving it just about everything he's got here, and he doesn't seem to be going too far away from the pack. Surely the sprinters aren't going to allow this one to get away. Unfortunately, Mario Cipollini had to withdraw from the event due to the difficult birth of his child, and he stayed with his wife naturally enough, and so not a starter in this year's Vuelta. But there are plenty of other good sprinters. It is Matan. Looks rather like the finish to a Paris Tours Classic there, just for a moment as he came over the river. But this is into the city of Murcia, and the bunch there huddled together with the wind bashing them from the right as we look at the picture. And he's decided it is totally fruitless into the wind. He's gone too soon, and the train is working the way up towards him. Now there are some big names for sprinters in here, like Robin McEwen and Marcel Wust. Wust loves the Vuelta, and he said the Giro d'Italia, but loves the Tour of Spain. Under the 1 kilometre to go now, a sharp and tricky right-hand bend. And I thought I heard, and I did, I heard a touch of metal. There's been a huge pile up there, a huge crash. A number of riders are down. We'll try and see who they are. And that in the Farm Fleet's colours, and blaming somebody else from the Lotto team there is Jerome Blijlevens, who obviously was right in for the kill. And one big sprinter's gone out and not at all happy with the situation. And I think the rider he was blaming there was one of the Lotto boys. But let's get back up to the front now, because Uchikov, also from Farm Fritz, has got clear in the melee. And a number of riders are just ahead here. So Sergei Uchikov is clear, and that's Robbie McEwen shot up on the left now, and in the middle is Robbie Hunter, the South African rider. They're checking over to see if they've gone too soon. Marcel Wust and the Festina are coming up very quickly, but Robbie McEwen is set fair here. He's on the right and waiting, and watch out for Robbie Hunter. They go again. Uchikov on the left, Hunter in the middle, McEwen digging deep. The sprinters are not going to get on, but there are two pretty good ones here, and this could be a first ever win for South Africa. Robbie Hunter, on the first day of his first Vuelta Espana, has taken the stage. The 22-year-old from Johannesburg, and well, he might enjoy this, because he had a great Milan-San Remo in a breakaway, then took a little time out with a knee strain. Now he's back, very much so. So the Lamprey score to South African Robbie Hunter. That will do his career the world of good. The overall lead today passes, though, to Jackie Giron by virtue of that long breakaway. He pushes Galdiano Gonzalez back to 2 seconds, and Abraham Olano still in the frame, 3 seconds off the pace. So on to stage 2 now, from Alicante, just inland from the coast, heading further inland to Albacete. And again, a flattish ride, but we're not far away from the hills. They come pretty soon on this year's Vuelta on stage 5. But today, the weather again has turned a little bit ugly as winter approaches. And this is Fabio Roscioli. We've had a long break for most of the day, some 13 riders. Got away after 27 kilometres, but they're all back in the pack now. And Fabio Roscioli, only one win for him this year. He too is now back in the field as we start the run in towards the finish. So the sprinters, can Robbie Hunter triumph again here? He took his chance well yesterday. A little bit of confusion by that pile-up, which projected 3 very good men, so they must have been near the front when the crash happened. This time it looks clean as they come off the bottom bend here now. Zanini is in there, so too again is the orange jersey of Robbie McEwen. As once more Festina all looking around here, and goodness knows why. Jerome Blijlevens is in there somewhere off to the left, I think, as the sprint starts. Now that's Zanini in second wheel. Giovanni Lombardi is the telecom rider who's trying to take it apart here, and he's up to speed right now, but Zanini leaving his run in second place as long as he possibly can. And this is a tremendous lead out, and Zanini's looking good now for Mappe. Zanini hits the front here. Lombardi's right with him as they wrestle on the wheel. As look, Marcel Wust is through the middle. The German sprinter is coming clear of the field. He loves the Tour of Spain. I make that his 9th victory ever since he started riding this event. And Marcel Wust for Festina has opened his account. Zanini to the left of our picture. Lombardi, McEwen is the rider 4th there over the line. And Jerome Blyleven's probably a little bit shocked from the crash yesterday, only in 5th. Robbie Hunter, by the way, came through there well in 6th place. So an early win for Marcel Wust, man that speaks many languages, and he'll have no problem with Spanish. And another huge trophy. They specialise in those in Spain. And a very good win indeed for Marcel, as we see it again here. Clear victory too. Zanini, I thought, had read that just right. Marcel had timed it better. Thanks to the bonuses on the course, though, this man is still in the golden jersey, Jackie Durand, by 2 seconds over Galdiano Gonzalez and 3 over Abraham Olano. Hunter is there in 4th, also on 3 seconds. On we go to Fuenlabrada. And in reaching Fuenlabrada, the riders will have covered the longest stage of the tour, 229 kilometres from La Roda. And again, the terrain undulating, but nothing too severe. And this man is making the most of it, heading towards his hometown. He rides for the team for Fuenlabrada. And Germán Nieto, who's never won a race in the 6 years he's been a professional. You saw his time gap, and that actually is coming down because he was up to over 23 minutes. He got away after some 35 kilometres. And this man, the golden jerseyed leader, Jackie Durand, on the first slight rise of the tour, is in difficulty. Well, he said he wasn't fit. He was a little bit surprised to have claimed the leader's jersey in the opening days. And now he's paying the price, I feel. Well, Nieto, can you believe this? This man almost made it. He's 2 kilometres from the finish here, as the field have swept him up. A tremendous breakaway of 190 kilometres. Well, he certainly did his sponsors proud today as he drops through the field now, as the others scurry towards the front for the big sprint. And a little congratulations there from some of the Spanish riders. That's nice. For that great breakaway by Germán Nieto. And he's his teammate going to say, just hang on and finish with us. But we're going to the front of the bunch now as they line up for the finish. Jan Ullrich, their second wheel at the moment, beginning to show himself. Had a reasonable time trial in the prologue. Top 15 finish despite the conditions. And he's not a bad bunch sprinter either, but he's off the front now. As another Telecom rider again tries to find Giovanni Lombardi, the perfect lead out. Watch for Wust, though. Wust is on Lombardi's wheel. One win already, and this win could be giving the race lead too as Marcel goes left. Nobody's got his speed at all. Marcel Wust on the line. Win number 2 this year. Win number 10 in all time in the Tour of Spain for Marcel. He just loves this event. Up on the crowd line, Giovanni Lombardi just hasn't got the sprint he used to have. The 1992 Olympic points champion in Barcelona. And the champagne bottles as big as ever, as Marcel now getting used to opening them here. And I think he'll be confirmed now as the race leader, because the sprinters have all claimed the top places now in the absence of Jackie Durand. There he is, and he's got a 9-second buffer over Robbie McEwen and 10 over Robbie Hunter. And Gonzalez Galdiano, who won the prologue, is still there in 4th place, while last year's winner Abraham Olano lies 5th. All smiles again for the German superstar. And so to the 4th day of the Vuelta Espana. It's a Wednesday. We're heading now from Las Rosas to Salamanca, on the opposite side from where we all began. We're now on the west of Spain, and the weather getting better by the day. The sprinters enjoying these early few days, but it'll all change tomorrow when we go into the mountains. I'm sure of that. This man has been the highlight of the day, Koos Murenhout from the Rabobank team. His lead 9 minutes 20, and in the lead for the best part now of 100 kilometres. But during the escape, this is a switch down to the back of the field. The sad side here of the abandon of Laurent Dufaux, the Seiko rider who was 4th in the Tour de France, has problems with the right leg, which he says is hurting, and he's pedalling literally only with his left leg. And so he's out of the race. And also going out with him there too, the Lotto rider Rick Verbrugge. Another little bit of a talent coming through, but gone from the Vuelta today. 2 good riders, and there's a counter-attack going up the road here because Murenhout is almost caught, and that's another Rabobank that's gone up the road. I'm sure of that. So it might be a good tactic. The field showing no resistance. The roads here long and straight and exposed in the wind, and often called for a very difficult stretch of racing. The crosswinds hurt the peloton here, and the Dutch are specialists in those winds. Now I think we're coming up here to Koos Moerenhout as he moves smoothly away, and there he is, and a little shout there from his teammate, but I think he's deciding enough is enough. That's Jan Boven who's gone by him, and Moerenhout decided no, 100 k's is enough for me today, as he goes back into the pack. Now can Jan Boven start something here and get a little group away, as there goes Koos back into the field. And there's no reaction here. Festina, of course, having not just the job of leading out the sprint for Marcel Wust today, but also looking after him and make the pace, because they're the team now with the golden jersey on the shoulders. And if you can't make the pace at the front, then why not launch an attack? And this looks like Vladimir Belli here from Festina, who's trying to get clear of the field and taking with him a Lotto rider. Could well be Chris Piers, but they're working together. One or two riders shooting after them. There is Jan Boven, suddenly finding an express train coming by him and making no effort to jump on. Oh yes he is, because he's seen another rider coming up and it's worth a dig. So the attack coming from Festina's belly, and that's a good move there, because everybody would have expected Festina to just keep an eye on Marcel Wust, and instead they're making the other riders take up the pace. Well, this is a very interesting mood indeed now, because getting onto the back of that is Laurent Jalabert. And I can't imagine I'll let the winner in 95 get too far away, as the Rabobanks join forces. Jan Boven has gone on to the back there, and so has Bram de Groot, another member of the Netherlands Rabobank team. And this looks like Joe Plankert, who has just been involved in a smash at the back of the field and doesn't look at all well right now. He's hit his head, I think. So this is very unlucky for Joe Plankert. They've already lost one rider today in Verbrugge, and I would say, looking at that, almost certainly Joe Plankert is... Oh, no, he's not. No, he's not. He's back on his bike, and they're going to push him off. Little bit shaky, but he's going to try and make it to the finish. Well, good luck to him. As we regroup at the front, by the look of it now, all of the riders coming back together again. And the big lead out once more from Telecom. Can they at last get their man Lombardi to the line first? Another great lead out for him by Jan Ulrich, I think it is. But now here comes Lombardi, and here comes the yellow jersey of Wust. And Wust has too much speed in those legs. And again, Lombardi must be asking himself, what do I have to do to win a stage? This man is too quick. And Marcel Wust gets the stage, and that is a superb victory for him. And I reckon that is the first three in a row since Eddie Plankert back in 1982. And Eddie won 4, I think. But Marcel has got 3. And of course, there's always a chance of another one to come tomorrow. But I'm not so sure about tomorrow, because we're in the hills tomorrow. But Marcel Wust, a couple of seconds bonus there, also consolidating his overall lead in the race now. So after some 19 hours of racing, he's up to 29 seconds advantage over Robbie Hunter, 34 seconds over over Robin McEwen, 34 seconds over Robbie Hunter, and 39 seconds over Gonzalez Galdeano. And there is confirmation of all of that, with Olano in 5th place and still right up there, poised for a good journey through the hills to come. He could be the next Maillot Jaune. And looking further down, you see only seconds in it at the moment. But there's still, of course, a very long way to go in what should prove to be a very difficult Tour of Spain. But the smiles right now, Marcel Wust, 11 stage wins in all as we continue. And now we're in the mountains on stage 5 from Mercier into Benidorm. 4 of them, in fact, one a second category. The Portio is a first category. Then on to the Franquia. That's another first category and the high point of the day, taking them up to 1,500 meters. And Monsagro is the third category climb that brings them on towards the finish. And the atmosphere a nervous one now, because the sprinters can forget it as the race starts to go into what should prove to be a most difficult Tour of Spain. There's the assembly down at the start line in Beja. And we join the action on the climb of the first mountain of the day. Excellent roads, long and fast, and some riders now prepared to drive here on the lower slopes of the Mongeraz, taking them up to just short of 1,000 meters. And Festina not wasting any time. Remember, they have the race leader on the team, but I think today Marcel Wust will have told his team, this is no longer for me, and it's time to take a back seat. And there you can see the beautiful roads here in Spain are hitting the high points now. And this is Laurent Brochard here on the attack and riding extremely well. He's a very good climber, of course, in his pre-Black Festina days. Now trying to straighten himself out. And the rider on the move with him here is Rafael Diaz Justo. A gap initially 2 minutes 19 seconds. No wins this year for Laurent Brochard. Trying to get some early points in the King of the Mountains competition. Last year's winner, Jose Jimenez, the last 2 years he's won the King of the Mountains competition. And the gap holding on here. Benesto, not surprisingly now, beginning to come to the fore as the climbers start to stretch their legs. But that peloton, not in a big hurry yet. A lot of riders still in that group together. Over the top then, and Brochard not challenged by Diaz, as he gets the first big points in this year's King of the Mountains competition. Now, can he keep it going? An awful long way still to go. Pulling off the dizzy heights there of what could have been taken as Mont Ventoux in Provence, but of course we are in Spain. And that's where we're headed now, up to the Alto de Mongeraz. 112 kilometers to go. That's about 69 miles to the finish still. And the peloton leaving this one very late indeed. So a nice tempo being set. They're allowing Brochard the chance to just have his head with Diaz Justo. A number of riders are in trouble already though, and we hear that Jan Zerada has retired, the sprinter who never showed us his sprint in the opening days. The gap still going up here for these two. It's a beautiful day for bike racing in central Spain. There's the man who always gets the best seat in the house. Just by twisting his rotors, he can see the bunch and the brake at any time he likes. Alex Zuller riding well. Alex Zuller looks to me as though he's in a bit of trouble here, because that is the field disappearing up the road and there's no resistance coming from him. So the former winner of the Tour of Spain, Zuller, for Benesto, is in trouble. Winner in 96 and 97. They were his great years. Sergei Ivanov, the Russian national champion. As we go back up now to the top of the Portillo with 67 kilometers to go, and Brochard is stacking in the points for the King of the Mountains. The Once rider there, Diaz Justo, seems to be just a policeman, possibly hoping that Laurent Jalabert might come into the action pretty soon, and of course Abraham Olano. And here's the chase group now, and we're getting a nice select little group here, and it's without Alex Zuller. Massive crowd there. Now the capture, it appears, as group is coming up. We now hear that Andre Schmil and the injured Joe Plankett have also abandoned. So they've gone. Well, I've spotted Jalabert in this group, but I certainly haven't seen... not Jalabert, Olano rather. I haven't seen Jalabert. This is Frank Vandenbroek here, who has gone over the top ahead of the field. Frank telling us he's come here to train for the World Championships. And hurting a few riders in the process. We didn't really expect to see him come over the top of the climb in first place, that's for sure. The next group, some 2:20 down now. And I'm just trying to see if, in fact, this is the group of Alex Zülle. But I have a feeling Alex wasn't there. He could be the first, and here he is now coming up the mountain. So he, I think, is the first big scalp of the Tour this year. At 3:25 and counting, Zülle has gone over the top. He's got a lot of work to do to close that down with just 50 kilometres to go to the finish, as the attacks again continue here now. And this rider coming through is Inigo Xaro Benedez of Spain, heading up towards the top of Monsagro. And this is the last climb of the day. It's only a third category, this one. He's wise not to continue because the peloton behind has blown apart now. So it started very sedately, but as the hills got more often, it started to crack up. Here comes Van den Broek. A beautiful bike rider when this man is on form, but you never quite know when that's going to be. 2 minutes 19 seconds back here to this group, and I'd love to see who's in it, but I can't help you at the moment. But we must be looking at it for a reason. Let's see if we can pick out anybody of importance here as we pan through. Well, that looks to me as though we might have, in fact, Laurent Jalabert in this group. Now, that's interesting. Jalabert is behind as we return now up towards the finish here, and this is Ulrich going for it. Jan Ulrich has just got his first win of the season in what is a group sprint of some 20-plus riders there. Now, the important thing is the clock is counting. Ulrich is saying he's here hopefully for a top 10 finish and to try and lift his condition for the World Championship. Well, this isn't a bad start because he's beating Abraham Olano to the line, and doing it very nicely indeed. And that second place to me will give Olano the next golden jersey. Wust is nowhere to be seen. We're going back now over 3 minutes as the next group comes in. This contains Laurent Jalabert, so he's a big time loser today, and we have not yet seen the arrival of Alex Zülle. Well, the consolation, of course, Sergei Ivanov comes in, the consolation for Jalabert, and this is Zülle now in the middle of the group. Consolation for Jalabert is that Olano will be in gold, but look at this, 5.5 minutes all but for Alex Zülle, a big loser today. You can never tell how Alex thinks inside. His face always looks the same. This rider, though, is very, very happy at his first win of the year. So Jan Ulrich will do himself no harm at all. This rider is now the leader, Abraham Olano. Ulrich will come up into second place, 10 seconds behind. Igor Gonzalez Galdeano in that group is now up to third, 15 seconds behind. And Frank Van den Broek today is fifth overall, 29 seconds back. And gone out of sight is Marcel Wust, yesterday's leader. And what a time for Olano to take the leader's jersey, because today he gets to start last as we stay in Salamanca for the 46.4 kilometres individual time trial, an event at which he is the world champion. This is Igor Gonzalez Galdeano, the surprise of the prologue. He started in the sunshine and set the best time a long time before the other men got to ride in the rain. It should be a different story today. And as he gets underway, we will go back now to watch the man who will be last to start in the race, and that will be the golden jerseyed leader, Abraham Olano. Gets the countdown. He's chasing none other than Jan Ulrich, himself a winner of the time trial at World Championship level, and certainly on his day as good, if not better, than Abraham Olano. And there's just that 10 seconds separating them overall, and ahead of both Ulrich and Olano is Gonzalez. He's already gone, we've seen him go. We'll catch a glimpse of Ulrich at the time check, and that'll be the first indication as to how well he is going. Olano staying out of the saddle for what is probably one of the few rises on the course. This is a very fast time trial course, perfect for the expert against the watch. Now let's go out to kilometre 27, because here is the arrival of Galdiano, and he's living up to his reputation built a couple of days ago. The best time here, 32:33.9, and only 2 riders to pass through that point behind him now. Here is the arrival of Ulrich, and he is going to go better, 31:53. What will Olano do? Well, Olano's coming through now with a flotilla of vehicles behind him, closing down the course. And it looks to me as though he is going quicker than both of them together here. And this is the situation then. At kilometre 27, a 32 seconds gap over Ulrich. That's enormous, frankly. And look at the gaps over Galdiano, Casero and Cuesta. Well over a minute to Cuesta. This man is on his day, that's for sure now. The golden jersey inspiring him. Here's the arrival of Casero, and he gets the best time for the moment, 55:49 for 46 kilometres. That is moving for you. But this rider is moving better than anyone. Tracked by the GPS system, we can see his advantage here, and it's now almost a minute over Ulrich. To take a minute out of Jan Ulrich is unthinkable, quite frankly. Now, Galdiano should at this moment come in with the best time, with 2 riders to finish. Here he comes, a big effort from this young man, 55:50. A good ride indeed. Casero goes back to second. Oh, no, I've read it wrongly. Galdiano only second behind Casero. Now, that is amazing, because he's obviously slowed down over the latter part of the course. Now, what is Ulrich going to do as he comes in? There's no doubt about that one. Ulrich 54:29, a minute and 19 seconds better than Angel Casero. But I think this rider is going to throw it all to the wind now, as he seems to be flying up this straight here. Abraham Olano is going to get a real lead in the race now, as he's going to arrive with clearly the best time, and he's not going to be far off a minute better than Jan Ulrich. He's still kicking for everything for the line. 57 seconds. It'll probably be 58 seconds the gap. 53:32 the time for Abraham Olano. Now look at the gaps there. They've confirmed it at 57. Casero at 2 minutes 17. Galdiano at 2:18. And an excellent ride by Chan McRae, the American on Mappe as well. He was 5th. And a former winner of this race, Melchior Mauri, 6th. Cuesta down to 7th, and the entire Hamilton there in 8th. Well, the world champion in full cry here, and inspired by pulling on the golden leader's jersey only the day before, as he comes up to the line to get the time trial win. His overall lead looking a bit more realistic now, 67 seconds to Ulrich, 2:33 to Galdiano, 2:54 to Casero, and all except Ulrich are from Spain. And the tall figure of Abraham Olano bending down to receive the tribute of the day. So it's Saturday, the day before the big mountains really hit the race, and after the time trials and 1 mountain stage, the riders might feel like a rest today as they go on to León from Salamanca, 217 kilometers. And he must be feeling very pleased with the last 2 days of cycling, Abraham Olano, despite the fact that his teammate Laurent Jalabert has fallen a little bit behind the pace. But remember, this race is 3 weeks long, and we're only just approaching the end of the opening week. Once, as always, dutifully got control of the peloton here, as nobody in any hurry. This really, the only thing to stop this race finishing together would normally be the wind, and strangely enough, there's hardly any wind today, and so we're quite likely going to see this bunch go right through to the finish. Well, Marcel Wust could be a candidate for victory, because he knows the finish. He actually won at the finishing line here 1 year ago. The little group is off the front at the moment. 1 or 2 riders are trying to slip the field as they start the action. Rabobank is right in the thick of it. This will be Rolf Sorensen setting the pace there. And it looks as though Piccoli from Lampre is up there, Belli, the Festina rider, and I think it was Roscioli, Costa Almeria. In fact, it's bound to be Roscioli. He's a lone break expert and looks for the move that might take him to a stage win. But the riders here having a little bit more of a chat and a rest as they allow the race to continue in front of them. It's about 4 minutes up at the moment, that breakaway, but there's still plenty of kilometres left. Nice and warm today for a change. Gone now the memories of the early days when the rain was falling. Taking the field through there, Diaz Justo, the man who was on the escape with Laurent Brochard 2 days ago in the mountains. And number 4 is Jalabert himself, now a workhorse on the team. What a brilliant cyclist Laurent Jalabert is, the most consistent bike rider on the current circuit, world number 1 because of his consistency, doesn't seem to specialise in any event, rides them all and wins many of them. Now there's obviously a little problem here at the back of the race with Cesar Garcia, Calvo. Spanish cyclists taking the names of both sides of their parentage as we go around what appears to be a bull ring, and enough said about that. And now the field more or less together here, and I don't think we're going to see any more attacks. They've swept up those little breakaway group of riders. Now heading in to the finishing line here at Leon. And I wonder now if the Telecom boys can finally get control of the head of this bunch and guide their man up to the line. Lombardy has been so close, but clearly he's had a real shot at the finish and simply has not been quick enough to handle Marcel Wust, who's now searching for his 4th win of this year's Tour. Big tempo riding, and that big man again is Jan Ullrich. Never afraid to work, continually thinks of his training. He's not thinking of winning this race, he's thinking of a high finish. He keeps on reminding us now, is this to parry the blows that will surely come from the press and keep the pressure off himself? Who knows, still 2 weeks to race. Sprinter's delight today, long straight roads into this beautiful city. And you'll see them sweep to a left-hand bend, and it's a lovely long straight. Sorry about this picture breakup, but we seem to have got it straightened now. Very difficult sprint to judge because a lot of riders here. Here's the left-hander, and it looks as though Telecom have got 3 riders there. Look at that for a sprinter's delight. They're all keeping to the right of the fence. The crowd watching the race go underneath them here as the road is cleared for what should be a great dash to the line this time through. There'll be no change overall now. Olano can think of another day, and tomorrow is the big mountain stage that everybody is fearful of as the Telecom now lead out, but that doesn't look to me as though it's Lombardi in there. It looks more like it's Danilo Hondo who's trying to get up there in second wheel as they fan out now. McEwen to the middle right and off to the far left in that whitish jersey is Marcel Wust. It's Wust McEwen coming up to the line now with Traversoni, the Seiko man, right on the line. Well, I don't know. I just don't know whether Wust or McEwen got that from the angle we were at. It was very, very close indeed. Wust isn't exactly jumping with joy here. Let's see if we can distinguish here. It's Traversoni in the middle. He wasn't in on the hunt. McEwen is far right. Watch for the line now as Marcel Wust is aiming for win number 4. And Robbie is close, and Robbie's lunged early, but has Marcel done it right? Oh, it's agonising this, isn't it? Oh yes, there's no doubt now. There's no doubt that Marcel Wust has just claimed his 4th win and reached 12 in total in the Tour of Spain. And I think that equals the record of all-time stage winners, 12 for Marcel. And the race is far from over yet. No change, of course, in the overall classification. Abraham Olano retains his overall lead by 67 seconds over Ullrich and 2:33 over Gonzalez Galdiano. And we go on into the mountains. And what mountains they are indeed, because it finishes at a height of 1,580 metres at the Alto de Angleru or La Gamonal, and the riders here are talking of gearing as low as 39 inside ring, a 26-tooth back cog. And can you look at this? Initially you might think we're looking at Alpe d'Huez, but this one goes on and on. It has climbs of 19, 20, 22%. Riders have been riding on this all year once it was announced as part of the route of the Tour of Spain. They've even brought out the old-timers like Julio Jimenez, Federico Baramontes to make the climb for the television cameras. This is likely to become the most feared climb in the world of cycling. And the riders face it at the very end today of 175 kilometres. And one man who won't be attempting it, sadly, is the American from Cofidis, Bobby Julich, out with an accident yesterday. It's not the only climb on the route either. We finish in a veritable car park. Hardly room to put everybody in the Tour of Spain, is there? We'll start with the climb of the Ventana, a second category 9-kilometre climb, then onto the Corbatoria, 9.2 kilometres, onto the Cordal, the second category one of the day, and this one is an all category, which means it's the granddaddy of them all. A day for the climbers indeed. Forget the name of Marcel Wust, with all respect to that great sprinter. There are the teeth towards the end of the stage. They even start quite high up at 900 metres, but they'll go a lot higher by the end of the day. And as we're on flatter roads here, the Kelme team with 3 riders in the top 20 overall. They've got Heras best placed, 5 minutes 7 seconds off the yellow jersey of Alano. Fernando Escartin is 6 minutes, and Jose Manuel Uria is just 7 minutes in 20th place. This is the sprint at La Magdalena, and a small little group here now trying to work their way clear. Cuesta is in it, and he's highly placed for Once, number 2 there, in 5th place, 3:17 down. As always, the escape trying to be formed. Riders are suggesting gearings of 32 inside, 25 back. Others have chosen 39, 26 back. Either way round, it's steep. Well, what a way to end the day. I'm not surprised to see Kelme going out early here to try and hurt the Benestos, because surely now with the Once, it's going to become a little bit of an in-battle here amongst these 3 top Spanish climbing teams. Sorry about the picture breakup. We just popped under a bridge for a moment, but it looks as though we've solved it now. This little group, the first attacking group to get away here as we start the lower slopes of the first climb of the day, the climb of Ventana. And Kelme content to set the pace here in the hope that as the day goes on, they will launch their top boys into the thick of the fray. Certainly Roberto Heras and Escartin are the riders they will now count on. The weather forecast for the end of the day, by the way, is rain, and that is what the organisation fears most, because they reckon the hill is so steep they're going to have a job climbing it if the roads are wet. There's Jalabert, and this the first victim of the day. Daniel Atienza, the Polti rider from Spain, is out. Well, it might be a little bit of luck, because he's now in a position to watch how everybody else is going to suffer on this stage. In kilometres, not so long, at 175, 106 miles or so. But that's about the only blessing of the day. It's quite a large group here now trying to steal a march on the rest of the race. The Benesto rider here sat at the back is Garcia Acosta, the tall man who's such a good workhorse. The main field with the golden jersey of Abraham Olano here is at 3:45. But early days yet. And he knows it. This man of great experience. We've been going just on a week now. And this opening week has been so kind to Marcel Wust, giving him 4 stage wins and presenting the golden jersey to González Galdeano, as well as Abraham Olano and Marcel himself. And just where are the challenges going to come from, one must ask for Olano. We've seen Ulrich try, but he's won a stage, but that's about it. He's dropped away a little bit. Today he must show his colours if he has any ambition of a top 10 finish, as he keeps telling us. They're starting to go into the mountains now. Garcia tagged on the back and waiting. Cuesta is the best placed rider in this front group. Still Jalabert willing to work now, having lost perhaps his chance at winning this tour on the first day in the mountains. which was stage 5 or the 6th day of the race. But they're such a good all-round team, Once. They'll always ride for the man who has the best position, especially when you have the talent and undoubted class of Abraham Olano. And Polti going out on the attack again, having lost one of their big riders today already. We've seen him in the car. A quick glimpse there of Robbie Hunter in this group. And sitting here right at the front for the Mapei team, a couple of Mapei riders here in the action. Nardello is 126. I think the other one was Fernandez Quinez. This is the group now which is setting the pace. They are becoming the group to be chased down here. The Vitalicio rider also going through there. Now let's see just how well they go. Robbie Hunter probably a little bit afraid of what's to come today and anxious to get a lead over the field. Little Daniele Nardello, a good rider in his own right, of course. But perhaps trying to set something up here for team captain Pavel Tonkov. The main field limiting their losses. They know what they've got to do. As we climb now up into the clouds, which is rather interfering with our pictures. This is Robbie Hunter here. Brilliant day for him on stage 1. Gave South Africa their first ever victory in any Tour of Spain. And nobody will ever take that away from him now, despite what the day will throw at him. Clearly not a high pace in the peloton, as the gap goes up to 4 minutes 38 seconds. Pace remains reasonably high. It's a good move this by Cuesta, and the Once team takes a lot of pressure off Olano. Gap coming down, but not a great deal at all, hovering on the 4 minutes mark as they continue to set the tempo from the peloton. Benesto trying to limit the escape here. That's why up in the lead group, Garcia Acosta is not doing any of the work. Because Benesto, considering that Azula has lost so much time, must be pinning virtually all of their hopes here now on Jose Jimenez, who won 4 stages last year in this race and went on to win for the second year the King of the Mountains. So he at least should have no fear of the day. There's Nardello setting the pace, and that is Orlando Rodriguez, the Portuguese rider on Benesto. And it looks as though 1 or 2 now as we start to go up into the dampness of the high clouds here as the riders reach the tops of the peaks, and it's going to get worse as the day gets longer. Going up is one thing, but coming down when the roads are like this, absolutely treacherous. And I think we're going to have a little bit of a struggle to hold these pictures as well today. Now we're on one of the way down here. This is Sergei Ivanov, and the caption's telling us we'll have to go with it because it looks as though it might be the champion of Russia. He was up there with the front runners. Oh, and there's been a crash there because you can see somebody standing up. It's a Lotto rider in the ditch and wrestling to try and get his bike out of the ditch. Now our cameras realised it and stopped, so hopefully we'll get back, and there we are. And in fact, that is Abraham Olano way down below him, because this is Kurt van der Wouwer, who's gone. Olano is getting dragged out. How often have we seen this? And it's not the first time Olano's been down there either. I seem to recall him doing it in a French stage race, but he's been hauled out. And he looks okay, surprisingly enough. But this is not a very pleasant situation for the leader of the Tour of Spain. Help is at hand. Kurt van der Wouwer looks okay. Well, a little not long ago before this crash, Van der Wouwer's bike looks a bit of a mess. Not long before this crash, there has been an earlier crash to Fernando Escartin, and he apparently has been taken to hospital, so he's also out, and that is a serious blow for the Kelme boys. Alano up and running. He can expect to find his Onse team waiting for him up the road. I think they are. Ivanov is the only rider left of that escape group now. The rest have been wiped out. And Alano here, we're calling it the Alano group, but I think they may not realise that Alano isn't quite with that group just now. It's hard to know how they can keep track of all of the riders on a day like this. But there is Abraham Alano now, with a little bit of help too from his Onse team. And that looks like Michael Zadabithia, who's giving him a hand. No sign of Jalabert now either. This little group trying to get itself up to the leaders again and back into the organisation, because that was not the main climb of the day, of course. That was only the first taste of the battle. And it's up to Alano to climb back in now without too much of panic. And it calls a man with great experience here now. And it's saying 8 kilometres to go. So we've now about 2 kilometres, 3 kilometres into the climb now, which will take us La Gamonal, or the Alto de Angliru. And Pavel Tonkov is the man who's launched the attack. It's been set up for him by his Mapei team and the hard riding by his teammates today. Now, can Tonkov do it? It would be a real turn-up for the Bucks if he could, because this could really lay the foundations, and Alano is going to have to try and chase him down. It has come to the point now where Alano is having to do all of the work himself here. At the end of the day, that's what you have to do if you are the race leader. Tonkov started the day 4 minutes 42 seconds behind Alano, and he's now pulling back big time on him. So it's going to be a very difficult climb for everybody now, as the crowd, they expected 500,000 people here, you know, and they might not be far short of that, because they are lining 10 kilometres of mountain. Just listen to the shouts for Alano. Tonkov keeping himself nicely under control. Roberto Heras, and I think that might be Jimenez with him. Well, Heras now the outright leader of the Kelme team, with the loss of Escartin, which he may not know at this point. Alano has climbed right through the groups here, and he's something like 5th or 6th on the mountain. This is Heras, and it was Jimenez. Jimenez, who's come to this mountain to train on it. Whereas Pavel Tonkov, normally a star of the Tour of Italy, now trying his hand at finishing a very good Tour of Spain. He's no stranger to winning stages of the Tour of Spain. He didn't ride it last year after he fractured his coccyx in August, and was obviously not in any condition to take part in the race, but he's back now, and he's back here with a vengeance. He's on the most revered mountain, and this is the first time a bicycle race has gone up it, as we are climbing up to almost 1,600 metres, and it kicks and rears every so often. That is Jan Ullrich here, and Alano continues to let the adrenaline flow. There's no reaction from Jan. He's slowly coming backwards from the sharp end of the race, Jan Ullrich. What he'll try to do now is limit his losses. He's still well up as far as the overall classification is concerned, of course, because there's an awful lot of riders. The cameras don't actually give you any idea how steep that corner was, but it was probably 25%. As Ullrich sat in the saddle, I think if he'd got out of the saddle, he'd have lost his front wheel. But Tonkov is climbing steadily to victory here. Absolute grim determination of the man who won the Tour of Italy in 1996. And the police have got their hands full here, holding back the enthusiasm of the Spanish crowd. These are the conditions the organisers did not want as they brought the race up here. but they'll be delighted by the amount of spectators who've turned out to watch the Tour of Spain coming to the top of this climb. A man who spends his life in Italy and who is a brilliant bike rider, Pavel Tonkov. I first came to know him many years ago when, as an amateur, as part of the Soviet Union's national team, he won the stage of the British milk race in Nottingham. Nobody had heard of him then, but we've all heard of him now. They're telling you he's 23.5% at this point. And I have to say that these guys make it look comparatively easy, don't they? Olano and Manuel Beltran, another man who's riding so well for Banesto. Alex Zula, a long way down the mountain for Alex and not enjoying his day at all. He's outside of the top 20 climbers, that's for sure. And already lost time on the first day, so if anything, he's faring a little bit better as the race gets longer. This narrow road off to the left is a sheer drop into nowhere as we continue towards the top of Anglerou. The lowest possible gear now, and I wonder what gear he chose. Most are using 26 or 28 back sprockets. Those sort of sprockets you never talk about in professional cycling. Today we do. And this looks like the counter-attack is coming, because this is Jimenez. He's on his own. He's got rid of Heras. Now, no wonder the crowd are going a little bit beside themselves at 2 kilometers to go. Jimenez is veritably sprinting up this climb. This is an inspired finish now by the king of the mountains for the last 2 years. Laurent Brochard was still the leader of the mountains today. That will change tonight. Superb effort by El Chaba. No sign yet, though, in front of Pavel Tonkov. We're racing into the mist. That will be in the favour of any attacker now. And here we are. Well, he's come out of the mist and he's found himself on the back wheel of Tonkov as the road levels just a little bit here. It's a bit of a strange finish now as we race into the car park. And it looks as though the leader, Tonkov, is going to be disadvantaged here because Jimenez, who's just joined him, I hope we can see them finish. There was rumour that they were going to finish this race lower down in the event of bad weather. That seems to have gone by the board. Somewhere in the middle of this lot are the two riders winning the 8th stage of the Tour of Spain. And then the clocks will start. And in fact, that is it. Can you believe that in amongst the cars, Jimenez has won the stage and Pavel Tonkov has finished in 2nd place. Almost 5 hours, the time for the day, and Spain have claimed the big scalp of the big mountain. Well, how fitting that the man who's been the king of the mountains for 2 years becomes the king today on La Gomonal. Marched away for a quick wash and then out to the podium, and now the clock has started and we want to see the arrival of Olano and to see if he's limited his losses enough to keep the yellow jersey. This will be Roberto Heras, who was with Jimenez. And this looks as though it's Beltran. Also another good ride by Banesto, who will have done themselves a nice big chunk of team lead, I think, coming their way by the end, if they've got a third counter. Almost a minute has gone by as Heras appears. He gets third. Excellent ride for him. The new leader now undisputed of the Kelme team. The loss of Escartine today. And that's Beltran. Another good ride from him. So often the right-hand man of Miguel Indurain, and now he looks after whoever, and he might have to look after Jimenez now. Now, where is the yellow jersey? He can't be far away. Abraham Olano was dicing in 5th or 6th place, about 2k down the mountain. He must surely be the next man to appear out of the mist. 1:38 has gone by. That's the shape of Abraham Olano. So he had a 4-minute margin over Tonkov. He'll conserve his lead. That's a great fight back. That's shown a lot of talent and depth in character for Abraham Olano today. As he comes over the line in 5th place, I make him. This is another Banesto rider, so they've got 3 men home. That's Pipoli, Leonardo and he will confirm the third counter for the team. Looks as though he's just been out for a Sunday run. He's just over 2 minutes down. One by one they come home, and they're going to feel pretty tired, bike riders, by the end of this day. But I have to say that they have made this mountain a lot tamer than we all imagined. We expected to see bodies spread-eagled over it, walking and complaining, but these boys, and that's Ulrich coming in with Jose Luis Rubira, the other Kelme rider, who's not just a good climber but a pretty good sprinter as well, but he's not taking on Ulrich today. 2:44, I think the clock said. So Ulrich cracked a little bit, but nonetheless has come up with a good position there in 7th. And David Rebellin is in for Polti. That's the first of the Polti boys home. Just on 3 minutes for him. Igor Galdiano. And an Euskaltel rider just behind him. Santiago Blanco. Well, we're outside the top 10 now, so let's go to the podium, because already waving his flowers and his little mascot there is Jimenez of the Benesto team, who's going to feel very, very happy with his performance today, although there was that confusion at the finish which has disappointed Pavel Tonkov. Alano, though, is still the leader, and Ulrich has hung on to his second place, 2 minutes 8 seconds back. Tonkov comes up into third now, 2:58 off the lead, and Galdiano is fourth at 3:58 as the race goes back down the mountains. And we're now running across the top of Spain in an easterly direction, and this a ride of 186 kilometers, a couple of small climbs near the end, but it shouldn't cause too much of a problem. Certainly nothing like yesterday, as we're now on the 9th day, the eve of the rest day for the riders, and I think they've earned it this time around. Abraham Alano in the hot seat, but a small breakaway has got itself going here, and quite likely will stay away to the end, but we'll see. Working pretty hard in the group here. That's Laurent Brochard, and this little group looking very workmanlike, because none of them are going to affect the destiny yet of the yellow jersey, which is still, of course, with Abraham Alano. And a group like this trying to get itself together. There's Alano all caped up because the weather started sunny enough at Gijon, but as we head towards Los Corrales, it is getting a little bit wet yet again. And it's these sort of days, I think, which wears on the nerves of the riders. They also fear a cold that might come in the next few days, and they're not showing any real interest in the escape here at all, which also contains the world champion Oscar Kamazin. And there you can see the gap for yourself. Ralph Grabsch was the telecom rider. There is Kamazin, just flashed through our picture. First time we've seen him since this race began, the world champion. Other members here are Jose Luis Ribera for the Kelme squad, Nicola Micheli of Liquigas, Andrei Zinchenko, who rode so well in this race in the past and been very anonymous this time out. Sergei Uchikov, always a man to watch out for if we get down to the finish. A great opportunist. Gap still hovering around that 3-minute mark. And a long line now, so it's showing me as though there might be a little bit of interest. There's still 59 kilometers to go here, as Ribera, a man who climbs as well as sprints, is first over the line in the sprint. The Metas Volantes. And it looks as though Lampre also taking an interest now. The gap at 3:07, and there's a small group 30 just off the head of the peloton there, which is 30 seconds behind that small chase group. And that might be causing the reaction from the main field now, which won't all well for the breakaway. But I think if it does come back, it'll come back more or less of its own volition and a steady tempo by the bunch. They're not going to rip the legs off, I don't think, to chase them down here. Why should they? There's Alex Zula, who actually has climbed up a little bit in the overall classification after that ride yesterday, and there he is. He's 29th now, 16 minutes off the race lead. But Alex, the most experienced bike rider, will wait to see what the next range of mountains bring him. This is where we are now as we make our way up the third category climb, with 46 kilometers left to go to the finish. Wide open roads, a nice fast tempo climb this, but unfortunately We've gone back into the hills and the rain has rejoined us. They're not making any real progress on this breakaway. It's still at 3 minutes 10 seconds. And very, very gently round the corner for Ralf Grabsch there from Telecom. And I'm quite sure now Alano, Tonkov, Ulrich, Galdiano are all going to wait to fight another day. This will be what they will see as a routine finish. There's no point in stretching themselves now. And this is a counter-attack here. A big figure of Mazzolini, I think it is, who's having a little go. And Brochard has gone with him. The low cloud and the trees are giving us a little bit of problems with the picture. But Laurent Brochard here, taking him on for a sprint for the top of the climb, because he'd like his King of the Mountains jersey back, but he's going to have to win a lot of these now, because the King of the Mountains has gone across to Jimenez, winner for the past 2 years. Now, are they going to try and carry on? This is the main field here, I think, coming up over the summit. Somewhere in between is a bigger group than that, or smaller group than that, rather. And Mazzolini looking over his shoulder to see if it's worth persisting, and we'll get a little look ourselves now, and I'm not sure it is. The rest of the breakaway coming back up to Brochard. 12 men forcing the move today. And at one stage, Jose Luis Rubira of Kelme did become the leader on the road, but that's all over now. Oscar Camas in there trying to close it down. At one stage they got 10 minutes. It's now down to 4:29, so there has been quite a reaction from the field, although it's going out again at the minute, as Telecom are doing a little bit of probably hampering tactics rather than chasing tactics with their man up front. And still the counter moves here. Rubira going through, Camazind, Mazzolini. The leaky gas rider, I think, must have been Micheli there. Massive crowd. The sport is on such a high in Spain at the minute. And the league group splintering a little bit here as they try to sort out this next climb. And this is Frank Vandenbroek here. Now Vandenbroek is on the... He's come off the peloton because he was with the main chase group, and he's got away on the climb. Well, this man, you can't work him out, can you? I can't really see the point of trying to rip away, not in wind like this, other than for the sheer bravado of the action. And he's now in the middle, where he's just going to spend a lot of energy and not either catch this lot or stay away from the field, I don't think. Over the top of the second climb of the last two of the day. Sergei Ivanov, the TVM rider. It looks like a little move here. Ulrich is also in on it, keeping an eye on Alano. Now these guys, maybe they decided to chase down Vandenbroek. I'm not too sure why, because Vandenbroek is not a threat to the overall situation. But if Alano goes, then they all must go. And we've gone back up to the leaders here, who are trying to regroup and attack on the far side of the road. I think it might be Micheli. As we line up for the finish now, one rider's gone. I thought it looked like a leaky gas team rider. No, it's not. It's Brochard. It's Brochard. Very similar colours, the new Festina rider colours. Laurent Brochard has caught them napping here, and there's no reaction. And this is going to be his first reasonable win since the Festina doping scandal of '98. And Laurent Brochard is putting that behind him now. He hopes with a victory here. He's making sure, because he's dying all the way to the line, but that's enough. Laurent Brochard snatches the victory at Los Corrales, and coming in behind, it looks as though the world champion is going to take second. He does. Micheli is third. Zinchenko is there, and Rolf Sorensen will be the Rabobank rider, and that is Rubira, the sprinter, who really would have thought he would have won that stage and missed out on the opportunist move there by Laurent Brochard. So he gets the win. And there's the confirmation of the order. Sorensen, in fact, finishing in 5th place, all of them timed 3 seconds behind Brochard. Caught them napping that time around. 5 different nationalities crossing the line. And this is the situation now in the Looking down still at the stage results, this is Ribeira got 6th, Uchikov 8th, Grabsch 9th. These were all in the breakaway, tailed off in the end, Grabsch and Mazzolini. So Laurent Brochard with his trophies of Los Corrales at the end of the 9th stage of the Vuelta and on the eve of the rest day. And let's hope the weather alters a little bit, because it hasn't been too good right now. Alano takes a 2-minute 8-second lead to the rest day, with Ulrich second, Tonkov, Gonzalez Galdeano proving he's winning the prologue no fluke, as he lies there in a brilliant 4th place, and Heras best of the Kelme boys. Casero is 6th and Jimenez 7th. So as we look at the Basilica, a beautiful building built in the 17th century here in Zaragoza, the capital of Aragon. 31 riders have given up in the Vuelta Espana. 158 now make steady progress towards the Pyrenees. And I have to say steady progress, because today it's 183 kilometers and we stay in the very windy area on a circuit based here in Zaragoza. No challenges other than the wind, and that in itself can do an awful lot of damage in a big stage race, as I think we'll see on this long straight road. This is a very traditional racing area here. Roads used many times in the racing season, and the riders are well aware of what the wind can do. A little breakaway has got itself clear of riders far down the overall classification. Jackie Durand is there again, Sergei Uchikov, Casagrande, Roscioli and Anguita. And there is the indication of the wind. This is the sort of race that the riders from the Low Countries love, and many riders who've got obvious strength just can't wait to get in the thick of it in these echelons. But for the others, it is a most unpleasant happening. And the peloton split into 2 distinct groups here. As the riders now continue towards the finish in Zaragoza. The rest day was held in very wet conditions. Many of the riders refused to go out even loosening up. And in fact, most of them, including Alano, stayed in the hotel and warmed up on the rollers all day. Now, Roscioli here trying to break them up, and that's Sergei Uchikov, who has come up on them. Roscioli and Uchikov, both previous winners of the Tour de France, or stage winners rather. And they've got away a little bit, but not by any great deal. This is the rest of the breakaway, trying to haul them back in. And while the main field continues to split behind and chase them down, those 2 riders are still just clear of the field. And they're coming into the last kilometre to go here now. And Roscioli is in the best seat. He's manoeuvred Uchikov into the front. It takes me back, in fact, to the Tour de France at Revel in 1994. This is a similar situation with Uchikov and a certain Lance Armstrong. And Armstrong was beaten by the wily Russian. Or Ukrainian, I should say, I suppose. And Uchikov now looking in the whereabouts of Roscioli. Both got similar hairstyles, haven't they? Now Roscioli is far from the world's best sprinter, and although Uchikov is in the lead here, he is much faster normally than Roscioli. But Roscioli playing his cards right here, forcing the other rider to lead. We are looking at only a handful of seconds to the chase group, believe me, maybe 15 or so. You see, that was a feign by Roscioli to try and get a reaction out of Uchikov, who I don't think he even saw it, so he did nothing about it. Now they can both see the finishing line. They're going to leave it very late, and Roscioli, I think, is going to have to go first, and Uchikov is waiting for the jump, and then he's going to have to hold him off from the front if he can. They're taking this almost to the line here, these 2 riders. It would normally be a great finish for the sprinters, but the escapers work today. The day after the rest day, the day after the mountains, and the day before we enter the Pyrenees. And now Roscioli goes, giving it just about everything, but there's much more power in the legs there of Uchikov. And this is the man who's giving the TVM a result we expected a lot earlier from Jerome Blijlevens. Uchikov gets the stage win, his first of the year, and trailed in by Roscioli. Given the same time, the TVM Farm Fleets boys will be happy with that one. Here comes the sprint for Jackie Durand ahead of Anguita, and Casagrande was the rider just off the pace. and they weren't far ahead of what looks like the main pack of the peloton here. And there'll be no change overall at the end of the resumption of the Tour of Spain today, as the yellow jersey, or the golden jersey, of Abraham Olano comes in. So Uchikov gets the stage win. He always lands a big one at some stage or other, ahead of Roscioli, and at 13 seconds Jackie Durand, Anguita and Casagrande coming in there at 16. Another cup. I don't know how they carry all these trophies around Spain. They get one every day. But Abraham Olano conserving, no change overall. 2 minutes 8 back to Tonkov, Ulrich rather, and 2:58 back to Pavel Tonkov. And looking there at Olano, you may have seen him cringe a little bit when he put his arm round the ladies, and there's a rumour beginning to circulate that he's suffering from injuries from that crash we saw him have when he went down that ravine on stage 8. Let's hope not. At the moment, he's still the clear leader of this tour. So in Aragon, Huesca is the start town. We're heading to a hilltop finish after 201 kilometres at the Pla de Beret. We're now in the Catalonian Pyrenees, and this is the first of 3 very rugged days indeed. This one itself not so bad. It really is a sting in the tail, but of course tomorrow we are off into Andorra and the famous climb of the Acalice. But from now on, you can expect Olano to be finding himself under pressure, and to see if there is any weakness there from the rumours which are circulating on the tour. There's the Pla de Beret at Val d'Aran. 8 kilometres of climbing to the finishing line today, and the peloton already in the mountains and making steady progress. And at the back of the bunch here, Olano is making no progress. He's had to have a bike change. That's not the way to start at the Pyrenees. He's got one teammate there willing to hang on for him and get him back into the pack. But that is bad luck for Abraham Olano. No idea what the problem was. But judging by the riders taking a natural break on the right, there's no big action in the peloton. So a routine change, I suspect. He should be back in there now. Emerging from the tunnel here. This is not the complete field now. This, in fact, is a small breakaway that has come together. There is no one in this group, as far as we know, who is going to do any damage at the moment to the overall lead. Alex Zülle on the far side. As we're looking here at the springing forward from that group now, another little section of riders as we start to face up to the 8 kilometres. And in fact into the final kilometre now, which is where it gets really steep, but the race has split up asunder. And these riders are trying to sort out the sprint here. Daniel Nardello is the Mapei rider in that break. This is the main race being driven on here, and I don't think Olano is there. These 4 riders are Garcia Casas from Festina, Peña from Vitalicio, he's in the red jersey, and the Kelme rider is Uria, and that is Uria in 3rd place now, as 2 on the inside goes Peña. But he's taking on Nardello. Nardello is not a bad little rider when it comes to a group like this, and it looks as though Nardello, with 150 metres to go, is shoulder to shoulder with Peña. The other 2 are fast tempo, but out of it, off the final bend now. Daniela Nardello for Mapei gets a victory in the Vuelta. Peña second, Garcia Casas will be third, and here comes Abraham Olano. Now, there's been a lot of riders finished since Abraham Olano has come into our shots. You see the time gaps on the winner, and Abraham Olano has conceded around about half a minute to his main rivals, Tonkov and Ulrich. I think he's done enough to keep his overall race lead, but the gaps will have come down. First to the winner on the podium. Daniela Nardello gets the victory. Only a small trophy today for him, but overall there are changes now, and Abraham Olano is only 1 minute and 39 seconds ahead of Jan Ulrich, and there he is in his yellow jersey. He looks okay, but I'm not so sure he is well now, because he cracked today. Well, today will show up any flaws in anybody's makeup. 201 kilometres. The riders now heading deep into the Pyrenees through La Seu d'Urgell. and finishing in Andorra, that beautiful principality, and right at the top of the climb of the Alcalis. It's a tough climb. Most of the riders know it, especially anybody who's ridden in the Tour de France, because that race has also finished at the same position. And it's a days of ups and downs. It's only a question of finding out who will be up and who will be down. The riders leaving the town of Sort for Andorra and to the top of the climb of the Alcalis, 147 kilometres. And the riders managing to smile. Even Marcel Wust here on the right of our picture with 4 stage wins under his belt. Not a day he'll be looking forward to, but he'll be searching for the autobus, no doubt, when the pressure goes on, and make sure he gets through to the finish. And it looks like Vladimir Belli there it is. So he's already gone out, an early abandon. There'll be a few more to follow him today, I suspect, on this second day in the Pyrenees. The Tour now over halfway. Abraham Olano had one bad day and some extremely good ones so far, although he doesn't look like a man who's enjoying the day at present, and the climbs have yet to seriously begin. There's a group now containing Ulrich Clear, nearly a minute and a half ahead of Olano. Now that should set alarm bells ringing here, because the climb up the Alcalis is a tough one, and Ulrich, of all people, knows it so well. And we've got Gonzalez Galdeano, and he is leading at the moment, and there he is. He got clear of the group. Now this will be a little bit of a surprise, but he's a Spaniard riding on neutral territory now, but he can expect all the cheers to come his way, I think, because he's the younger brother, by the way, of Alvaro, and he's having, well, an inspired Tour of Spain, to say the least, since the day he won the prologue time trial. This is Beltran on the left of our picture, and Peña. He's not going to do anything to endanger his leader up the road just now. Ulrich is in that little group behind. Olano is even further back right now. Back up to the leader, Galdeano. Beltran being left to do all of the chase up the mountain. This has become a little wall of attrition out there today, as these riders continue now to make their way steadily into the Principality of Andorra. He's gone very early on, I must say, Galdeano. He's not a rider that's been heavily marked, but you've only got to look at his reputation these last 10 days or so. He's never lost position in this race, as riders have come and gone around him. And now, with 18 kilometres to go, we are swinging into Andorra and onto the climb of the Alcalis. It's rather like the back road in to this little principality, which is nestled deep down in the Pyrenees between France and Spain. Casero behind in second position, the champion of Spain. Weather chilly, but thankfully a little bit drier than usual, especially as far as this Tour is concerned. It's the whereabouts, in fact, of Olano that one should become concerned with now, because the last check we got, he was some 4 minutes off the pace, and that Metas Volante, which is at the bottom of the climb now. And this is Gonzalez Galdeano, concentrating with his earpiece, and no doubt a lot of support from his team. This is Igor. Started out well this season. He's only ever won 6 races in his career, and one was this year with the 5th stage at Tirreno Adriatico, which has given him a nice little boost. I think it's 5 races you want, I think. No, 6 with the prologue, that's right. He's won the prologue, hasn't he? That's right, 6 he's won. And now looking for what I think he would chalk up as the finest win of his career if he could win to the top of this climb. But that's a tall order, as this little select group behind, which has got the king of the mountains in there, Jose Maria Jimenez, Also in there, as you can see, Ulrich is driving this one on now, and this is looking like the Ulrich of old. Remember when Ulrich took the lead in July on the year he won the Tour de France in '97? It was on this climb where he attacked it at the bottom and passed Cyril Vasseur and went on to pull on the leader's yellow jersey. He never looked back. And now he's trying to liven this group up behind here and see what they can do. Well, it's going to be a tough one, because this race is now spinning up all of the time here. Heraz is trying to shake them out a little bit there for Kelme, because poor old Fernando Escartin is watching the racing daily from his hospital bed now after that accident. Now, as far as I know, Tonkov is also in this group, so that really the man who is missing is the yellow jersey. It's been a difficult few days for him, I think, and he's hung on in there. Now we're going to find out just whether he has serious problems or not. Look at the crowd now as the Basque flags wave. There's González de Galdeano. Really makes a name for himself now here on the slopes of Alcalis. And just now he's doing okay. The chase is around about 50 seconds behind him. And this is one man leading the chase, Jimenez. But it's all over, because he's in amongst the barriers at the summit now. As he comes up towards the line, the smiles on his face grimace now, but they'll soon turn to smiles. This is going to be the greatest win of his career. It is topping off an unbelievable Vuelta for him. It's going to put him right up there on the leaderboard. Time will tell the next few minutes whether it's a golden jersey waiting for him. Come on, he says, give me some more. He's going to enjoy this and throw away a couple of seconds, but it doesn't matter. So, Igor González Galdeano gets the stage win in the Pyrenees in Andorra. This is the little group that's coming up now, being led here by Jimenez, followed by Heraz, and the other man there is Leonardo Pipoli, who's also had his ups and downs in this race. He fell on the previous mountain stage leading into the rest days. Now he is trying desperately to get something out of this. Heraz, not really reputed as a sprinter, but at the top of the climb, it's who is the strongest, and this time it is going to be Roberto Heraz who gets it. On the line, the clock says 39 seconds, maybe 40. Jimenez and Pipoli is the order over the line. Looking further back now to the riders coming in here. This is Tonkov at the head of this group, and this might be the new leader of the Tour as well, because we haven't seen any signs. Ulrich is coming to the back of this group, so he could be the next man in the hot seat. As over the line, it's Jose Luis Rubira who takes it for Kelme. They've had a great day, haven't they? And in that group, Tonkov and Ulrich, just over a minute back on the winner. But where, oh where, is the yellow jersey of the Vuelta Espana? This is Santiago Blanco here, and it looks like Jose Manuel Uria is coming with him. Yet another Kelme man. They're beginning to enjoy their tour now. It's a long, long way to the finishing line when you're tired, but Blanco is not going to be challenged, I don't think, by Uria. He's happy to follow him home. No point in using unnecessary effort at this stage. They're only spinning at about 10th, 11th, something like that. Blanco crosses the line. And a little thank you very much from Uria. And looking down here, I think this is Eito Oza who comes in. Well, we still haven't seen any signs at all as they present the prize here. Magnificent prize it is too. For González de Galdeano. Oops, now 1, 2, 3, and up you go. And doesn't he look happy? Here is Van den Broek bringing home the yellow jersey. And so we're looking at the clock now, and it's 8 minutes and counting. So I have to say that after some 12 or 13 days in yellow, Abraham Olano stops his watch on the line and will know that he will not be called to the podium tonight. He is indeed out of the golden leader's jersey, and the man who's got it, as he did in the Tour de France 2 years ago, Jan Ullrich, is now the leader of the Tour, and that, I think, for everybody is a big surprise. Place that is for Jan Ullrich as we head now back into Spain onto the east coast, and Jan Ullrich reading Gonzalez Galdeano by 36 seconds. Pavel because Benesto Vitalicio here. Right now he's not going to feature because Benesto have now got just one rider left in front, and that is Dominguez.
Well, that's no panic though for them. They've just kept the tempo going clearly. Once the attacks come, they just keep going at the same pace, a pace that is going to be very comfortable for their man Abraham Olano. This is what's happening further down the field. Uriarte's gone straight off the back of that group.
Well, you take your chance, you pay your price, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. At the moment, they're not really chasing that ride in the top left of our picture. They're just keeping their high tempo. If they catch him, they catch him. If they don't, they don't. And frankly, they don't really care because he's not affecting the overall at all. They've got him well under control now.
There you can see comfortably once again in second position Jose Maria Jimenez riding perfectly at the front of the race with the man we're looking at now, Dominguez, is just trying to hold on. There's the average gradient there, 13% at the moment, and Dominguez is still doing a very good job holding off the attack of this very smart squad now led by the Benesto riders, which now has been reduced to around about 20 men.
Well, Dominguez last year had a magical season. He won the Tour of Valencia, the Tour of Murcia and the Catalan Week, and by doing all that, of course, he became very valuable property, and that's why Vitalico took him to their new team this year. But he hasn't really had the great season. He's made his bid for glory now. I'm not so sure Paul is going to survive, because here comes the Kelme boys now. Well, no, just about. He's had a little bit of
a little dig there at the front by Kelme. Once again, trying to set it up because they're moving up into second place in the Kelme squad. There is Escartin, but Laurent Jalabert again still in second place in the overall standings, feels he's got a chance of taking the yellow jersey and possibly the victory here because he is so close to Abraham Olano. But that was again just a little dummy attack.
And that's Serrano who's trying to do something, but he seems to be not going very far, and with only 12 seconds hovering, getting a bit shorter. They're right on the back wheel now of the breakaway.
Vironk moving up on the outside.